7 factions vie for control over the city of Capital. Open war is inevitable, but each faction wants the war on their terms. So for now, they maneuver their pieces. It is a war of spies, fought in shadows. Until the arrival of a legendary mercenary company. Beaten, diminished, they are outnumbered and outmatched, forced to rely on tricks and schemes and dirty fighting. Situation normal for the Chain of Acheron. Now 5 factions converge on the dead prince's territory, each convinced the others are trying to take it for themselves. The city of Capital is about to explode. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for spending your time with us. My name is Matt Colville. These are my video game developer friends. And hopefully we don't have to recap. What you guys all watched the campaign diary, right? Of course you did. Yes. Looking at chat and it says, yes, everybody did. Awesome. Fantastic. So we're just gonna pick it up from where we left off. You folks are deep underground in the mausoleum of House Sibelius. And I believe the last thing that happened was you folks were in the process of sending messages via diplomatic pouch to your head spy, Angel. And in fact, I believe the chat does not know that you have since sent more messages to Angel. And Angel has replied. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What did the message? Like at lunch. Like we had a D&D lunch. Yeah. And you said to Angel, hey, do this and do that. What did you tell Angel?
We told Angel to leak that the 12 dragons are coming to take the library.
The Order of 12 Dragons are supposedly on their way to stop you folks from taking the island on behalf of the Fulcrum.
But that's something that would also look like them coming to attack. So we're trying to get other people involved to hopefully delay them.
Right, that was one of the things that you folks in chat, we have our own top secret chat that no one else can see, that you folks in chat said, hey, hang on a minute. If these badass knights are coming to this island because they think we are trying to take the island on behalf of the Fulcrum, doesn't that look like them coming to take the island on behalf of them? Like, what would be the difference between them coming to stop us and them coming to actually do it? And aren't there other factions that would want to stop them from taking the prince's kind of...
It'd be more believable that they would be trying to take...
Than you guys, yeah. Seems reasonable to me. So you sent a message to Angel saying, hey, can you let people know? Can you get the word out that this is going down and see if there's anyone that cares about this and wants to come help us out? And did you ask him anything else?
Yeah, we asked for a fake contract saying that the job was to come get the kid, not to get the paper.
Right.
So you use that as a...
You have recovered the official city document that says that the prince, 300 years ago, the prince gave administration of the Pellet to House Brunedetti. So you guys actually don't have that contract right now. Like you put it in the diplomat pouch and Angel's got it.
Yep.
And Angel's response was, holy shit.
Along with the thing that we were supposed to get too. Not just the contract, but the seal itself.
That is the document is the thing we were sent to get.
Got it.
And so you've asked him for a fake contract, a fake job. Like we weren't hired to steal this document. We were hired to recover the courier, the lost courier. And look, here he is.
Yep.
Okay.
Recovered.
Good job. Yeah. That all seems entirely plausible and not at all ridiculous.
Why would you say it like that?
Yeah, right. Small tangent. What are the limitations of the diplomat's pouch? Like, how much stuff can you put in there, and how big is stuff can you put in there?
You can put letters addressed to other people that have diplomats' pouches.
Yeah, the way it works is you put a letter in there and you address it to somebody, and if that person has a diplomat's pouch, the letter goes boop, and it disappears, and they end up with that letter.
So you couldn't put like money in there.
That's what I was asking, if you could just do a note, like a dollar bill or whatever.
I just imagined us like if we were about to get caught with weapons, we're all like shoving our weapons into this thing.
Like you could. Well, you guys have a portable hole, but not a portable hole. You have a bag of holding. It's not technically not on you. Right. It would still be on you, quote unquote. You can maybe test this out. You could write a letter on a banknote, right, and then that note would go. But if you dropped, unless you did that 100 times, then
You need one really big banknote to get out of a sticky situation.
and they do everything with paper here. So you folks are you're as you are discussing this and trying to figure out what your plan is down here in this incredibly cold, dark mausoleum surrounded by gray stone, dust of centuries on the floor around you. There's, I think, a dead black pudding around here somewhere. There's a bunch of dead
Now we
bodies.
kill the black.
There's a
pudding.
live black pudding.
Ran away from it.
There's a black pudding very slowly going,
Right, it's gonna get.
trying to find you
Like
folks.
walking at a leisurely
Yeah.
pace away from it.
Yeah. So they've got movement at like 15 feet or something. You folks are writing letters to Angel and discussing what are we going to do, because Angel says they're coming to get you. And then you were like, yeah, and Angel's response was,
Stall.
yeah,
Single
Angel,
word.
Angel just said stall.
Just stall.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, right.
So-
tissue paper.
After probably, depending on how long you guys stay down here, like if you're going to wait for the Diplomat's pouch, then it's probably going to be 10 or 15 minutes where you're pointing to OD like it was going to, what? Huh?
Well, because we were going to send out.
Oh yeah.
Part
We're
of the other
gonna
part of the
scout
plan.
out OD, weren't we? We're gonna
Yeah.
send him out the mausoleum, and just probably through the library to the front of the library and sort of look around there and see if.
What is OD's strength?
Ooh, it's pretty. 2. I don't know actually what it is. Let's have a quick.
Didn't I give you a card?
Oh yeah, probably.
I thought I did. I thought I gave
It's
you a
right over
card.
there. Look at it.
No, wait, I've got this one now. 6.
6?
Mm.
Okay. So yes, you folks watch as Leech,
I'll
his
get it.
eyes kind of roll in the back of his head,
Don't put things on me this time.
and
Please, sir. I'm doing this for the benefit of us. I prefer
And-
not to have that debate.
Silly creature, I have no idea what you're talking about.
and OD is he? I assume this is a standard operating procedure
He's
based on
invisible.
things you've done before. That
Yes.
you're going to make sure he's invisible.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of DM that would be like, you didn't say this time, so everybody can see him. So yeah, Odie flies through the mausoleum that you guys are in, the mausoleum of House Sibelius, flies up the stairs to the landing where there's all these branching corridors got you down here, and then up those stairs to the large metal bulkhead, which is closed.
Oh, right.
But it's not locked. They didn't lock you down here. That would be crazy.
Uh-huh.
If you wait, you see Odie very slowly opening this huge bulkhead. It's a normal sized door. It's just very large and heavy, very thick, and all these heavy mechanisms that make it so the crazy undead things that live down here cannot infest the library proper. Odie opens the door and flies out, and should I take you outside and tell you what Odie says, and then you can tell everybody else, or should I just tell you here? I'm trying to think of how dramatic it is.
We don't have any secrets
Yeah,
here.
we can.
Yeah, earmuffs.
No. So you see the library now. You folks have been down here at least for a couple of hours. You've taken 2, I believe, short rests. You haven't taken a long rest,
Correct.
and which means that you folks that have Spectre damage and Bodak damage, you still are at reduced hit points.
Correct.
And the library is now empty, still lit, but there is nobody in it.
Okay.
And as Odie flies, and you hear, I assume,
Yes.
you all hear Leech, even though his eyes are rolled in the back of his head, he's describing what Odie is seeing. He flies like he's going to leave the library, and you see the librarian is talking to these gentlemen, men and women, dressed in red armor. They have these smooth helmets on. They're obviously knights. You recognize them. They're the Red Falcons.
Right.
You've seen several of them on the way into the library. They're the city guard. Their helmets are these smooth red helmets that have stylized feathers in them, like carved into the helmets. There's no plumage in the helmet. And it looks like half a dozen of them talking to the librarian. And you recognize it's the same librarian that let you down here.
Yeah. I can communicate with him. OD, go a little closer and listen to what they're saying.
They are asking for admittance into the library. They want to search the place. They're looking for the Chain of Acheron. And she's saying, like, is that a book? Is that what, like, maybe if you write your request down on a piece of paper, I can go look it up for you?
She's storing them.
Indeed.
Okay.
Do you think she's still in them, or do you think she just literally doesn't know that?
I don't think we ever
are?
said who we were.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever
She
once. Did we?
I don't think we ever once
We
said who we are.
mentioned.
Maybe
We
not.
mentioned the
actually,
document to her, right?
Yeah.
We just showed her the reference number.
Yeah, we showed her the number for sure. Because we're like, can you just get this for us?
And you see a couple of people with like large, hastily assembled stacks of books or collections of papers kind of scurrying out, like trying to get out of Dodge before anything crazy happens, because there's an order of knights, the Red Falcons specifically, that are sort of investing the library right now.
So we don't get out of here without going past these guys.
Well,
But that might not be a bad thing.
Right, because part
If
of
we're
the
going to tell them about they got a spy in their midst, we're going to try and butter them up a bit, right?
Right, because this is occasionally, I mean, you guys mostly have it right most of the time, but occasionally there's some confusion about because there's all these new people in terms we're talking about.
Yes.
But the Red Falcons are the city's, are the island's guards.
Yep.
Right. They're the prince's.
They're the prince's men,
Right.
men and women,
Yep.
right? 12 dragons are the bad guys. Well, bad guys. They're assholes.
Right.
They are known. They're everything.
Certified.
They're everything everybody hates about knights.
And those are the ones,
Those are the
on
guys
the
that
one
are on their way.
on their
whatever that means.
Whatever that,
Yeah.
right.
Let's have a OD fly outside the library and see if anything's there.
You see there's like a small crowd of people gathering. The library is on a slowly sloping hill, sparsely populated by trees. It's designed to be very, to look pretty and be like a park. And there are people kind of like, what's going on? And people are slowly gathering. And in that crowd, you see 1, 2 Red Falcons joining. Like there's more coming.
Okay. No sign of any. I mean, not that I probably don't know what they look like or OD, right? But no sign of anything that looks like a whatever they're called, 12 dragon guys. No. Okay.
No, not unless they're disguised as civilians.
Okay.
But there are Red Falcons now guarding the library on the inside and the outside.
I don't think this is a bad thing. I think this might be.
You see somebody trying to leave the library with a big sheaf of papers kind of stuffed into a folder, and the guards stop them and they show, okay, let's see, what's in here. Okay, you can go.
Right.
Oh,
Stopping everyone.
cool. So that just means we don't have what's on us, like what we came here to get,
Right.
which means that we have the kid though. So unless
think
the
as soon
kid
as
has
we-
anything on him that could get us in trouble, like I think this is a good opportunity for us to get out.
You get you feel the shift in weight in the diplomat's pouch.
All right.
I opened it up.
There is a hastily composed but authentic looking contract
Right.
signed by the herald that signed your last contract.
Okay.
Just saying, and it's literally the same text as the previous contract that you actually did sign, except instead of "go find this contract," it says "go find this career."
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, awesome.
Nice.
So,
Good job, Angel.
do you think the stall was for that, or do you think the stall was for the leak?
I don't know, but I don't want to be where the 12 dragons think we are.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Just get going.
be somewhere
Yeah.
different.
Yep.
So
Right, we got to talk to these.
Head
Red
up.
Falcons,
so do we want to knock out the kid?
I thought you could do
So
I
we
don't
can
think
do
we need
full
to.
good health?
He doesn't look like.
I mean, he does look emaciated,
looks-
and I took
yeah.
the food away.
He's already kind
I
of
said he could
starving.
have him more
yeah.
later.
He already looked pretty
He's had a
bad.
rough couple of
Did we
weeks.
We wanna
tell
knock
him
out the
if we got
Oh, about this part.
I'm not saying beat him. Judge can steal hit points from him.
Oh,
It's like
oh.
take him to
Oh.
zero.
I just imagine Leaf
I don't
like
think
that.
You can like
knows-
Vulcan neck bench him.
Yeah.
Should we let him know? Is that what you're saying? Let him know
because like
that.
I don't know if he's a good liar. Like he's
Yeah.
also frightened,
Yeah.
and so I don't want him to blab.
Let's
Yeah.
knock him
Anybody-
out. Let's knock him
Does
out.
anybody have sleep?
Oh, knock him out then.
Let's
Yeah.
not waste a spell on it. Like I'm just gonna grab him, knock him out.
Yeah, let's knock him out.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Grumbles.
Grumble. Yeah.
You're doing this for us.
Yeah.
Thanks, chap.
And we're just gonna have you go to sleep.
gonna
You
hurt.
just need to sleep.
Do you explain to him what the hell you're doing?
No.
No? Okay.
Oh,
We don't have time.
Okay.
I mean, no. If you're taking
So
all these
explain
hit-
to me the process here. Like,
Well, because
I want to know like on a kind of
he's
moment
like
to moment
really
basis.
he's like pretty injured, right? So like aren't we?
He's not
kinda
injured.
like-
He's just starving.
Yeah.
He doesn't have wounds or anything.
Oh, I thought we were like kind of helping walk him out.
You could give him wounds. That would be in character
All right.
for the Chain of Acheron.
So, okay, yeah, so in that case-
he's just really poorly off because it's been like 2 weeks and he hasn't had any food, and he's terrified because he was hiding from undead.
In that case, Judge is gonna see him in a state and say, "In your state, here, let me help you. I'll help you
Oh.
walk out." And then so I want him to put his arm over my shoulder, and I put my arm over his shoulder, and I go. And I knock him.
All right, that'll do it. How much of your
Wait, what do you do?
infernal?
I have like a leech kind of thing, which is like
It's lay on hands, but she can sap.
Oh.
It's not only can she sap, she can also transfer. She can go like this and have so she can
my
drain an enemy.
infernal
She
conduit.
can in fact she can give you temporary hit points with it. It's like lay on
I
hands.
give you normal
It's lay on
hit points with
hands, but instead of this many hit points, it's fewer hit points. But instead of just healing, it can steal and do all sorts of stuff.
You'll give it right back. Just
Yeah. We're just nicking his
Holding
hit
on to
points.
it.
Yeah.
That's a cool use. That's a cool use of the ability. I like that kind of like he passes out.
I guess
You now have a
it's
limp.
scarier.
You now have a limp 15-year-old courier.
Well, we could put him on the back of Big Cat, don't mind, like they do in the cowboy film.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
sling him.
Big Cat will
over.
just reach out with his tentacles and put him,
on the back.
of the.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah,
right.
All right, well,
you hear the kill.
let's go.
Sounds like Big Bird.
I'll call OD back as well.
Okay, Udi
Well,
comes back.
All right, let's go talk to the Falcons. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Stick to the
exit
plan.
the mausoleum and return to the library. It is sometime between 3 and 5 in the afternoon. The sun is starting to get low in the sky, and there's a lot of this. The library is huge, several stories tall, mostly empty on the inside, and lots of windows letting the light in. And again, as you heard Leech describe, there is no people in here. It seems as though the presence of the Red Falcons has caused them all to evacuate. Yeah, because they don't know what's going to happen, but they don't want to be here when it does. They don't want to be in the paper tomorrow morning. And when you go to the foyer, which is a large room with lots of branching offices and corridors that lead to the rest of the library, you see the librarian is standing on top of that huge granite counter, and she's got her rapier out.
Oh my
And
god!
she's pointing it at the different members of the Red Falcons, and they're kind of laughing and holding their hands up. And she says, if you have a request, you'll have to fill out the form on the yellow pad. And they're like, come on, like let's doesn't have to get. And one of them reaches out to grab her. She goes and like stab. He goes, ow, and like laughs at it. And then all the other Red Falcons start to like jeer at this guy. And then you folks show up. And the Red Falcons, as soon as you come into view, like the first one who sees you folks nudges and they all point, and now they're not interested in the librarian anymore. And she sees you and says, I suppose you're the Chain of Acheron, the librarian says.
Yeah, we never told him.
They never proved anything. Yes, we are. We are the Chain of Acheron.
These people are here for you. And a woman in the Red Falcon livery, she's heavily armored. She's more heavily armored than the other ones. She has a helmet under her arm. She's kind of like leaning on it a little bit. And she has long, straight black hair. Says, who commands you?
Me.
She points at at Big Cat and says, is that thing tame?
Mm-hmm. Trust me.
Does Copper know what tame means?
No.
So there's a susurration that goes up from. At this point, there's if you take the time to count, there's like 12 Red Falcons in here, and you can see there's a crowd of people outside the door, and they're all kind of watching. And there's also Red Falcons outside, kind of being like, library's closed. Maybe folks should go back to your homes. And the leader of the Red Falcons wants to talk to you.
Okay.
And what is your name?
King.
And you command here?
Yes.
What are you folks doing here at the library? Checking out a book?
No, we had a mission to come get this kid.
Which kid?
I put the Big Cat and the kid. Courier was sent here for something, got lost, hasn't come back. Then we were sent to pick him up.
She looks at all of you and she says, you know, it's illegal to have weapons here in the city. You don't look like knights of the city. I think I'd recognize you.
We were given temporary knighthoods and flashed the thing to come get the kid.
May I see that?
Sure.
She's like, do all of you have one of these?
Oh, yeah.
Well, if I'm being charitable, then you've been deceived.
In what way?
What do you mean?
These are courier,
What?
These are courier badges.
Oh,
What?
well, we wouldn't know that. We've only been here a few days.
That explains why they look like the kids.
I don't suppose you have proof that you're here for the young man on the cat.
Well, we have a copy of our contract, and I give her that.
She reads it. And she says, "Uh-huh." And she hands it to one of her people.
Oh, no.
And there's a Corsarian-looking dude. He's dressed as a red falcon. He has dark black skin. He reads it and he hands it back to her and says, "This seems to be an order." She says, "I don't think the Hell Troopers would try to deceive you." And she's like, "You know them." And he points at you guys and says, "Not these, but we worked with the Tower of Dis years ago." And she says, "And what did you learn about them?" And he says, "The Hell Troopers are brutal, but honorable." And she said, "Why were you hired? Why were the 6 of you hired to recover one young man?"
Have you been downstairs?
Have you been? Yeah.
It's not a nice place.
Who hired you?
The Heraldic Society.
Which Heraldic Society? And then the lieutenant, hands her the contract, and she looks at it and she says, "The Fulcrum." Hands you your contract back.
What's their name that we have?
The Royal Heraldic Society?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't remember what it is.
We haven't talked with the Fulcrum. We've talked with the Royal Heraldic Society, or whatever the fuck their name is.
It's a reasonable response. Whatever the fuck.
Yeah. So many of them. You can't keep it straight.
One of the.
We just get here and it's layers and layers of intrigue.
Why did the Fulcrum hire you specifically? She asks.
Because they needed this job done quickly.
There are lots of mercenaries they could have hired. Why you?
Because we were the most effective.
It is true. We were very effective.
I mean, as evidenced by.
We did collect the courier in record time, I think.
And now that you've recovered him, what do you intend on doing with him?
Well, we need to return him, and
Take
he's
him
also
back to the
injured.
stays and get him some medical attention.
Yeah.
We have a medical bay on our ship, and our ship surgeon's here.
She says, "Give me a moment." And she turns and goes and confers with her lieutenant. And they have a little tete-a-tete.
Tete-a-tete?
Yeah.
Conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was like an argument.
No. And then, not long goes by, maybe like 90 seconds. And she says, "All right, well, whatever you might have been up to, or wherever you were hired, you're not knights. You're very heavily armed for couriers. So we have a couple of options. We could, obviously there's going to be a fine to be paid, but I don't think you folks are going to have any problem paying it. And you can either come back to the station and spend some time being questioned, or I could escort you off the island."
I think we'll take the escort.
Yeah.
Take that escort.
Yep.
If that's an option, I
Yeah.
think we'll take it. However, I think we should probably let her know about the,
Well, I mean, let's press
Order of
pause
the
for a second to
Agag
think about this. Angel said stall.
Yeah.
She's going to
Yeah.
probably take us the most direct route, and her reaction to these knights, I don't know if she's necessarily going to defer to them, but I don't know if they're going to be able to very easily get into their station.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So they might be
Like-
safer in the station.
They might not be able to get in there.
They also might not
That's a
know
fair
that we are in the station. And they're going to come to the library and just be confused because we're not there either. And we're also not leaving the docks.
I'm just thinking we should tell the commander of this army
Oh, right.
that
What we
there's
know.
an invasion coming.
Yes.
Yeah, but how
And
do
that
we
there's a
know
spy.
that?
Well,
Because
here,
there's a
how
spy,
about
maybe.
this? We'll
How do we know
ask if we
that?
can pull her aside and explain to her why we need to do this job quickly.
We have spot.
And tell her that
Everyone does.
information.
You feel a shift in the diplomat's pouch.
Zoe to call. Tomb of Enlightenment.
Could be that.
Nice. All right, let's tell her that thing and let's take the escort
To the docks.
to the docks. Yeah. Angel says help is on the way. I don't know what that entails,
What does it mean?
but
I called the ship
Oh yeah, you
last
did, didn't
week.
you?
Yeah.
That's true.
So I can't imagine it takes that long for it to get here.
She finishes conferring with her lieutenant and she turns back around and she says, "Can I speak to you privately for a moment?"
can my lieutenant join us?
Yeah, and she nods to her guy. And the two of them and the two of you just step away. The library is huge and empty. It's easy to find a...
Echoey.
Yeah. Do we hear it?
And she says, "There isn't anything you want to tell me, is there? Before we get you off this island?"
Yeah.
You want to?
Go
You're
ahead.
you're the charismatic one. So persuasive one.
Commander?
Captain.
Captain.
And the lieutenant introduces her
All right.
and says, "This is Lady Antonia Lady Antonia de Vicenne, Vicenne. Everybody just calls her Lady Antonia or Captain Antonia."
Captain Antonia. As
who are
a, they call me Boots. I'm the lieutenant.
She's kind of like, "All right."
I didn't come up with the nickname, but it stuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, as a group of mercenaries, it behooves an operation such as ours to sort of have ears to the ground, and we have gotten word that Prospero Alvaro is making a play for the Pellet. He's sending the order to the 12 dragons here.
Yeah, so when you say Prospero Alvaro is making a play for the Pellet, her first reaction is like, and then when you say he's sending 12 dragons, that gets her attention. How reliable is this intelligence? She asks you.
As far as I know, it's watertight. Problem is, I don't want to be here to find out how correct we are, if we are.
Well, 12 Dragons has no jurisdiction here. It seems unlikely they would act on impulse like that. My inclination is to interpret your message as being somewhat garbled. I think there's been a game of, she wouldn't say a telephone, but I think something's been misinterpreted along the way.
Be that as it may, I don't think we want to take that chance. So if you don't mind, we'll take that escort.
She nods. Her lieutenant whispers in her ear. And you can you see like she kind of sags and she puts one hand on her sword like, She's like, "You have no designs. Like you didn't come equipped in any way to take and hold the library. There's only 6 of you. I don't imagine it would have been difficult, though maybe not impossible for you to do it."
That's not a job we'd be willing to take. It seems like suicide.
Did you see the librarian?
Plus, we've been downstairs, and even if it was something that we were sent to take, somebody's got a real bad idea of a place to live.
The foundation's all like off kilter.
Well,
Puddings and cubes.
regardless, the faster we get you out of the city, the better. So she turns and she says, "Follow me. You're safe as long as you're with us," she says.
It's good to know.
So I can't get that book on Displacer Beasts.
maybe next time.
Okay.
That bud.
Dang. All right.
The library's still here next week. We'll come
Okay.
back.
Yeah, we'll get you the book and somebody to read it to.
Hope he has lots of pictures.
Yeah.
So she kind of taps her lieutenant on the shoulder, and he calls out to the Red Dragons that he says,
The Red Falcons.
the Red Falcons. I screwed it up. The Red
Right.
Falcons. And he says, Falcons, we are escorting these mercenaries off the island. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Job's over. Fantastic.
Does anybody look kind of surprised by that information?
No. No. And so you walk outside, and there's a large crowd of people that have gathered to see what the heck is going on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And they are as
all
soon
for you,
as
Slim.
as soon as you guys emerge, the Red Falcons are no big deal. They're from their point of view, these are just cops. But you guys are crazy because that's a fucking gith. That's a goblin riding a displacer beast. That's a drow, and that is a dude with red skin and horns. And so immediately
Just like-
the crowd a silence falls over the crowd. They're like, and you notice someone is writing in a notebook.
Mm.
Do I
I'm gonna
No.
I'm gonna yell out to the crowd, "Worry not, everybody! The boy is safe, and he is in our care, and we will make sure that he gets the medical attention that he needs."
Big Cat uses his two tentacles to kind of pick the boy up and show him.
Simba's him? Put him down, put him down.
He's like,
Ragdolls.
You hear people are now it's not quiet anymore. People they kind of surge forward because they want to see, they want to get a closer look at you folk. Human nature. Something terrible's happening. Quick, let's get closer. They want to get a good look at you folks, and the Red Falcons kind of keep them back. And a lot of the Red Falcons that are out here have pikes. They're pikemen. The ones you folks are talking to who are better outfitted than the other ones you see out here. They're all wearing like swords. And you hear someone call out and say, "Look!" And in the sky, you see what looks like a bird. Kind of descending, and it's like those how ducks and things will fly in this V formation, and that's what it looks like. It looks like there's several of them, but they're not birds.
No.
One of them is much larger than the others. The lead flying thing, and you see 12 mounted knights. The first one who lands on this hill in front of you, between you and the crowd, is riding a blue dragon.
Blue.
And the other ones are riding griffins. And they stop and dismount, and Lady Antonina says, "Let me do the talking."
sounds good. That's someone on our side.
And this ridiculously dressed, he's got wearing plate mail, and the plate mail is ornately carved. It's polished. He's got this crazy helmet with plumage coming off of it. There's a lot of dragon iconography on the helmets. He takes his helmet off, and he has this long, curly brown hair, coiffed in the Riojan style, that cascades down his shoulders. And he's got he puts his gear on his dragon, and all of his knights, who are all wearing similarly styled, but they're all in different colors, right? One of them's the lead guy is his armor is got blue enamel all over it. It's this bright blue color, and one of them's green and one of them's red. The other ones are all on griffins, and they dismount, and the dragon kind of sits upright, and the griffins all kind of like hide behind it, like it's in charge of the flying animals. And these 12 knights walk up to you, and the lead knight approach the 12 dragons. There's at this point, if you look around, there are dozens of Red Falcons in the area. There's the 10 who are guarding you folks, and then just all these cops. And slowly there are more showing up.
Wow.
And the apparent leader of 12 dragons motions to the one who's got black armor on, and the one wearing black armor stops and casts a spell. And you see this like semicircle appear of light appear on the ground. It's about 150 feet across, large. And that circle goes and it makes like a dome, this huge dome in front of you, and then it retreats. And when it retreats, there's a unit of lightly armored soldiers all standing there. It's not obvious how many there are because they're filed in ranks, but they're heavily armed.
Wow.
Unit of, looks like you guys are all soldiers. It looks like they're a unit of light infantry.
Cast army.
The
Slim's unimpressed.
Right, right the fuck up to Angel.
Yeah.
and as this tall Riohan knight approaches, he takes his he's still got his helmet on, and he throws it at one of the Red Falcons, and the Red Falcon guy catches it, and he's like, now I'm holding this asshole's helmet. And he approaches the Falcons, and he says, "How now? Who are these men in your charge? We've come to speak with them." And Lady Antonia says, "They are bonded couriers that we are escorting off the island. What are 12 dragons doing here?" And there's going to be a whole conversation between these two characters.
I chain say, don't talk to him.
Oh yeah, I forgot about chains.
He doesn't know it yet. I just give him a look and do that. No, don't talk to him.
Kill them?
This one. Throw the key away.
Slit their throats? No, slit. I don't know.
Just like the key.
Hold them off.
Your hammer pulled you off. So the commander of 12 dragons is not really interested in the woman commanding Red Falcons. He wants to talk to you folks. And she's trying to interpose herself between you and him, but he's basically ignoring her. And he says, "Couriers, you seem heavily armed for couriers. What brings you to the Pellet?"
I defer you to our handler.
"Well, if you're not willing to speak on your behalf, we could arrest you now." And Lady Antonia says, "House Alvaro has no jurisdiction here on the island. These are the prince's lands." And the knight commander of 12 dragons says, "Yeah, these people won't mind if we take these apparent criminals into custody. Who knows what they're here trying to do?" He says, "Look at them. They're some kind of rabble." And Lady Antonia is like, she says something under her breath, like, I know what you're trying to do." And he says, "Is that a gith?" A gith, a goblin, a drow, and a tiefling. What manner of group is this? What kind of wastrels do we have here? Who on? He wouldn't say
What
who
kind
on,
of foppish Caliban are you?
Yes.
Here we go. Here we go.
Take your pack of filthy manes and be gone.
"Filthy manes," he says, and turns to the 12 dragons, and they start laughing. They're all men, by the way.
Stand down. That guy rides a dragon.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone who rides a dragon?
Big
Do you know
Yes,
what
actually, I know a lot of creatures that ride dragons.
Sure, yeah. I mean, aren't a gith somehow like related to
Yes.
red dragons or
Yes,
some
they have a
or
pact
some
with
stuff?
Tiamat.
The blue dragon kind of goes like step, and takes like four steps forward.
How big is this thing?
I mean, it's I would say 3 times bigger than like a horse.
Okay.
So it's big.
Yeah.
It's big enough. It's big enough to carry a man, but it's not like an ancient. It's not an ancient blue dragon. And he turns to the lieutenant. He doesn't address Lady Antonia, and he says, "I feel the prince's lands are being very poorly administered. If rabble such as this are allowed to walk free, not even bonded knights. Couriers aren't allowed to carry weapons in the city. You well know that." And Lady Antonia says, "They're in my custody, I'm escorting them off. They're our problem, not yours. Whatever you think is happening here isn't.
This is so tense.
Yeah, well, I'm quasi giving you folks the opportunity to chime in. Not that there's any need to.
King told me to slit my.
Sleep rules.
Yeah. So
I told you to zip it.
oh, sorry, zip it. I think he told me to slit my throat.
There's other zippers. There's no
Let me
zippers.
kill him, Captain.
Who do you take your orders from? So the commander of the Knight Commander of 12 Dragons takes a step forward and says, "Who do you take your orders from, Gith?"
I'm the pilot of the Chain of Acheron.
The Chain of Acheron. The Chain of Acheron. Let's see. I know, and he starts naming different orders of knights in the city. And he says, "Never heard of the Chain of Acheron. Are you in charge? You seem to be the one doing the speaking." And Lady Antony is like, "He's not in charge. They are in Micah, and he's just ignoring her." Do these men work for you?
She's in charge. You're going to have to talk to her.
He is the captain.
Ah!
None of us are speaking to you.
Ah! So what brings the captain of the Chain of Acheron to the Pellet? Why would a mercenary company be hired and sent here? Of what possible use could you be?
I point to Captain
He
Antonita.
chatters
You're free.
like a gibbering
You're free to
mouth.
discuss why we're here with him. What we're going to do, as you said, and
You notice that the lieutenant of the Red Falcons, the black guy, is like, has his hand on Lady Antonia's shoulder and is like whispering in her ear fervently. And she's like, not listening to him. And she says, Lady Antonia approaches the Knight Commander of 12 Dragons and says, "I'm arresting these mercenaries on for these laws, breaking these laws, violating the Peace Binding Act, carrying weapons in the city, bearing courier seals under false pretenses. They're coming with me. If you want to do anything about it, then you're going to be taking up your agreement, not with the Chain of Acheron, but with 12 Falcons." I'm sorry. I'm also
the Red Falcons.
Who are they?
I gotta stop making up
Red
all
Falcons.
these. I gotta stop making up all these different organizations with the Red Falcons, and the commander of his resplendent blue enameled plate mail with his blue dragon standing behind him says, "Red Falcons, red pigeons more like. Useless even when the prince was alive." And he turns to the assembled members of Red Falcons and says, "Why don't you go back to your farms? Be more useful there than you would be here. What kind of knights would take orders from a woman?" He says, for the first time addressing Lady Antonia, and says, and then he approaches and for the first time talks to her and says, "Lady Antonia," and kind of looks her up and down and says, "A faint echo of your great father. I knew your father." And Lady Antonia turns to her lieutenant, and you hear her say, "Did you say you could trust these guys?" And he said, "Brutal, but honorable." And she takes out a little like notebook, and she writes a note on it and tears it off and hands it to him and says, "Make sure my husband gets this." And then she turns back to the commander of 12 Falcons and says, I'm sorry, to 12 Dragons and says, "You knew my father. Tell me, did you know your own?" And the commander of Red Falcons like
Good one.
smiles and bows a little bit and turns to his men, and his men are just happy as a clam that things are going the way they want. And the commander of 12 Dragons takes one of his gloves off and throws it on the ground in front of her at her feet.
You dropped your glove, Caliban.
He turns to you and says, The adults are talking. And Lady Antonia reaches down, picks up this guy's glove, and slaps him with it. And at this point, all of the members of... two things happen at once. The other members of 12 Dragons all take a couple steps back. All as one, right? Meanwhile, all the members of Red Falcons that saw that all kind of surge forward, and the lieutenant stops them. And Lady...
let's all get around
Can we,
Copper.
Let's all go the other direction.
Start filtering into the audience.
Yeah.
Very slowly with Copper's stealth.
Yeah, let me stealth check.
Yeah, go ahead and do
There's
that.
no way to stealth check. Unless you can go invisible, you guys are standing on like a bare hill, surrounded, and there's guards. There's guards watching everywhere.
So does she doesn't expect us to help her.
And I think this
I
is a
think-
one-on-one duel
I
thing.
think
sounds
she
like, yeah.
expects to die, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
That was what the
issue
note was
is
for.
if she dies, then we are going with this guy, and that's a problem.
I think if she
Guidance.
dies, then her lieutenant will take control and he will take us to where we need to go.
Lady Antonia, with her left hand, grabs her sword and pulls it out of its sheath, but in a way that is like literally like this.
Offensive.
Oh,
Well, not like this.
right.
And in a flash, the commander of 12 Dragons cuts her down, draws his sword, and just like 6 attacks at once in what looks like what Slim does when he's hasted. And there's blood everywhere, and Lady Antonia collapses. The Red Falcons all surge forward. They start drawing their weapons. 12 Dragons, they don't draw their weapons. They stand forward. They've got an entire unit behind them. The unit is standing fast, waiting for orders. The Blue Dragon doesn't move, but it does stand up. And it inhales.
It's
And
Hey, Slim, grab her.
Grab who?
the
girl.
lady.
She's dead.
Yeah, but
Lady and
Revive her,
the
dude.
lieutenant.
Yeah,
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
I'll
lieutenant.
pick her up.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're
I'll tell the lieutenant we will help her.
The lieutenant is
If I
now
can,
trying to
pick her up.
yeah, probably. I don't think there's anything technically stopping you.
you're strong.
I have no idea what's going to. I apologize in advance if everything goes completely south, and this is the last session.
Are we backing up? Are we like?
But yeah,
The lieutenant
we
is
need to
telling
go
Red
back.
Falcons to stand down, right? And he's holding this scrap of paper. You can't read what it says; it's folded up. He's holding the scrap of paper like this is her last command, right? And he's other soldiers are coming up to him, and he's kind of telling them what to do. And already the commander of 12 Dragons has put his blade back and says, hopefully the new commander of Red Falcons will be more reasonable than the hot-blooded woman who was foolishly trying to lead.
Damn,
This
guy's an asshole. Chatters like a gibbering mouther.
That's good.
I mean, apparently
So-
it's instantaneous. So
Oh,
if we pull her away, I can cast.
I got her.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it in front of
The
him.
lieutenant approaches you, and he's pointing at Slim, and he says, "What are you doing?"
We're going to help her.
We're going to help her. Is this some sort of custom that we don't know about this in the city?
No helping.
I mean, it was
Because me as a cleric, when somebody like this is killed in the street,
yeah,
you
sure,
help them.
yeah. He steps forward, and he says, like he whispers to you, and he says, "They know you're not knights. If you cast a spell here, they will cut you down."
Oh, this I thought it was the 12 dragon guy.
No, this is the lieutenant.
How
This is the guy who now is ostensibly in
okay.
How much
charge,
time
Yeah.
do we-
right? And he hisses at you, and he says, "Do nothing."
Can we leave?
Okay, then we do nothing.
Can we leave?
So
Well, we'll
But they
keep her.
cast a
We'll keep her
spell.
with her. We'll see.
he points to you and he says, "Hang on to her."
Yeah.
We're gonna see what we can do. But if you're the strongest among us, you can carry her.
Yeah.
And she's stood by us, so we'll stand
The
by her.
commander of 12 Dragons says, "Now let's be more reasonable, and why don't you all come with me? We'll visit the Duke. I'm sure he'll be interested in hearing from you. Meanwhile, I think it's time that a more reasonable and well-trained organization took over the administration of the Pellet." And when he says that, the lieutenant spins around, and now he's kind of got this guy's attention. And he's like, "The Pellet is still the prince's land." And he has a very different attitude than Lady Antonina. Lady Antonina was very kind of like, right, come on, this doesn't have to, but this guy's like, don't fuck with me.
All right.
And he says, the Pellet is still the prince's land and we are still his administrators. And the commander of 12 Dragons says, the prince is dead and you couldn't even keep your captain alive. So for the time being, I think that it would be best if our soldiers...
Let me fucking kill him.
The lieutenant turns to you.
Did you not
and says,
see when he just cut down that lady
I can do that.
instantly?
I can do that.
Stand down, soldier. We got to save this woman who helped us. And he's
in
not.
case you haven't noticed,
He's not the job. Do the
the
job.
lieutenant
Yeah,
says to Slim,
That's true.
he says, in case you haven't noticed, and he points to the unit of dudes that are all like really well armed and armored, and there are dozens of them. Forget the 12 high-level knights that are standing right there. They've got, he goes, in case you haven't noticed, we are outnumbered. And then you hear a voice say, says who? And the crowd parts. And you see, a very loose organization of men and women walk through the crowd. And they all are wearing high green boots, dark green, and red and black outfits. And the Red Falcons let them through. And there's about 20 of them all told. They're not marching in rank and file, but they're walking together and they have the same... You guys are all wearing Rioan outfits, but they're all wearing the same livery that you folks wear. And you recognize Corporal Mudd, who was served with you and was in Black Bottom, approaches. And at this point, the commander of 12 Dragons is like his face goes blank as he's trying to kind of refactor what the hell is going on. And this small, but incredibly well-trained, they are super elite light infantry. They're the scouts of the Chain of Acheron. They're the advancers. And you don't know that, but these guys do. And Corporal Mudd walks up to you and salutes and says, "Sir, we figured Sweet would retreat to capital. We got here as soon as we could. Still kind of trying to figure out how you guys got here before us."
Oh, it's the leftover. Yeah.
We got a lot to update you on.
Nice.
We've been through a lot.
Mudd is female, by the way, and has a short sword on her hip, but has a heavy tome on a chain. And everybody but Slim, I think, everybody here is an old member of the Chain of Acheron, knows that she's a wizard. And she has long, straight black hair. She has pale skin. She's Vaslorian. So where's Sweet?
He passed away with Senior Officer Nails in the Astral Sea.
King is the new commander.
Mudd has a moment of like, holy shit. And then kind of, when Judge says that, Mudd smiles and kind of claps you on the shoulder and says, "Commander King, well, Commander, I'm sorry we're late, but we are," and he looks to the rest of the advancers. These are the kind of elite scouts of the chain, and says, "We are well rested, well fed, ready for a fight." And then he looks over at the commander of 12 Dragons and says, "Who are these assholes?" She says, "I'm forgetting that Mudd is a girl."
Lady Mudd.
Exactly as you say. Assholes, but powerful ones at that.
The commander of 12 Dragons approaches and says, and points to the lieutenant and says, like, "Is there no law here on the Pellet? Obviously, it's in more dire need of administration than we thought. Look, we have an entire unit of scouts walking through armed and armored. And how come thee," he says, "to enter the prince's lands thusly garbed?" And dropping into this strange formal speech for a moment. And Mudd looks to you and looks over at the commander of 12 Dragons and says, Navy guys let us in. And that causes the commander of 12 Dragons to kind of like, and she proceeds to explain, like, yeah, we got escorted in. He says, I don't know who the guys with the Raven crest, and then another scout goes, House Verona. Yeah, I think they call themselves House Verona. They intercepted us, and we were trying to get to the Big Island. And she gestures over her shoulder, the Big Island. And then House Verona said, no, we were due here. And she says, I don't know what they knew, but they seem to think it was important we got here as soon as possible. So anyway, yeah. House Verona, he says, and to 12 Dragons. And that, she says, and that changes the tenor of the conversation somewhat.
Yeah,
And-
but, like, what's the dragon guy looking like now? Is he like calculating, or does he look like a little like freaked out by that information?
He is thinking. And then his lieutenant, who is wearing this red dragon armor, walks up to him and starts whispering in his ear. And he says, we're going to stay here on the island for the time being. And the lieutenant looks at you folks, the lieutenant of Red Falcons, looks at you folks and says, I'm going to take my prisoners and escort them off the island. And the commander of 12 Dragons says, I wish you a speedy journey. And at that point, the guy starts retreating and says,
We go.
Yeah.
But let's go.
Yeah.
Mud's like, but I'm sort of, she says, but who are, I'm after all, like,
We got a lot to talk about this city. It's a very different place. There's a lot of information you need to know about. You can remember that guy's face, and we'll talk about him. Then you can think about it in the future, but not right now. Not today.
as you're leaving, Mud, she smiles at the commander of 12 Dragons and waves and says, nice meeting you. But there's now a unit of people on the island, and there's now a huge crowd. Like, there's hundreds of people all gathered to see what's going on. And the person who is writing in the notebook, the woman reporter, splits.
Perhaps another day, Caliban.
The lieutenant has got is clutching this piece of paper and says, we got to get you off the island.
Are we out of eyesight of the guys on the hill? The
Yeah.
If we
dragon
can,
knights?
if we can get out of sight for a moment,
To the
we can revive your captain.
yeah.
Yeah. You can turn around if you want
How much is-
deniability.
Huh?
I said he can
Oh,
turn around
yeah.
if he wants deniability. I
So,
don't want
like,
to get
an
additional
alley we
fines
can
racked up.
Go behind the building.
Alley
or
we can
something.
step into.
Yeah. Everyone huddle around her.
Let me play you a song, sir. Thanks for helping us.
As we walk. I mean, we can
It's like the price is right.
not a pattern.
A bit flustered.
As far as
Northern
I'm
Lights.
reading, chat can tell me if I'm wrong, but it's one action instantaneous.
Yeah, I know
So-
how
What is it?
Revivify or whatever it is works.
Yeah.
Yeah, you resurrect Lady Antonia.
Huh.
And she gasps, and she's white as a sheet. She's still, I think, doesn't she come back with like 1 hit point?
Yeah, 1 hit point.
So she's very, very badly
I
wounded.
go ahead and lay hands on her, and I'll give her the rest of my 17 HP.
Okay, that helps a lot. You see color return to her, and she grabs you and says, "How many were killed?"
Just
you.
Just you.
Just yeah.
1 and then 0.
None.
Yeah. Well, not now.
She says, "It's a miracle." And she kind of staggers to her feet and looks around and sees that things have changed. And she looks up at the sky. It appears to have only been a few moments since she died. And she says, "Thank you."
You're welcome.
She
Well.
extends her hand to you and says, "I owe you my life."
It's not over yet.
Yeah. Well, I think we
Yeah, it's a good in.
we owe you ours
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So it's the least we could do.
And then the lieutenant says, 12 Dragons is staying here. And she's like, what? And he's like, that's the best we could do. He's like, there, and he explains what she missed. It's only been like, I don't know,
Minutes.
is it 1 minute?
It's gonna be like 1 minute.
Last minute.
It's probably been more than a minute since that happened, but narratively, it's been a narrative minute, not a combat minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna massage that minute.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. So yeah, things happened very quickly once she dropped, and he explains that your reinforcements showed up, and that it looks as though 12 Dragons is gonna at least stay here and try to invest the Pellet, like take it over. And so she's like, so this isn't over. And she looks at a lieutenant and she says,
Is it just the
So it's
lieutenant
war-
and her
it's-
here?
no, there's like, you're surrounded by Red Falcons.
Okay.
So we need to tell them.
Well,
right,
I'm just
that
gonna
somebody is.
scribble a note as we walk to give her.
Well, what happened to our lot?
They're with
They're
you?
with us.
Oh, they were as well.
Yeah.
Also in the.
Yeah. So yeah, Mud's like, so who are those guys?
The dragons? The men on the hill with the dragon?
Yeah. She's like, what the heck is going on around here?
They're the knights of a very powerful faction in the city.
How much time do you have? You need to talk with Angel.
Let's get back to our squid ship before we.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
need
Did you
to,
see did you see a peculiar looking ship on its way over when you were on your way in? How did you all have a ship?
Yeah, well, yeah, we were on, and she names the ship they took over here, just a regular merchant vessel.
Was the Navy on its way over too, or did they just let you through?
They intercepted us.
They intercepted you.
Yeah.
They intercepted us too.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
And they
and she describes this Patrick Stewart looking motherfucker who said that we had an appointment, and we were like, what?
Stuart leading there?
Yeah, that's
not
Tabasco.
Tabasco, is it?
that's
Marquis
the
Tabasco.
that's the Marquis Tabasco.
Tabasco.
But young
Tabasco.
Patrick Stewart, like from Dune,
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
not
Okay.
not old emaciated Patrick Stewart.
That's the only one I know. I just heard a
I
chortle.
just heard
Yeah, Jerry laughed.
Mr. Jerry laugh. All right. So yeah, now she's still like staggering and trying to figure out what to do, and her second in command is kind of still in charge and trying to fill her in. And he's like, we got to get these people off the island. She's like, we have to get you off the island. We've got to get you back to, where was it you were going? Doesn't matter. She's like,
The stays.
You should probably lay low for a little while. If that guy who thinks he killed you sees you alive, he might just try and kill you again.
Another go.
she's like, honor has been satisfied.
That creature.
And then she stops marching. Like everyone's drink, and like the Red Falcons like basically guarding you, right? And all looking over their shoulder, waiting to see if the 12 Dragons are gonna come and follow up. And she stops, and and they all take a couple steps forward, and then they stop and they turn, and she's like, maybe you shouldn't leave the island.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking if there's going to be war, I'd rather be on the winning side.
We could join forces.
To be honest, we want to be out from under the Fulcrum. Especially with how they give jobs and aren't truthful or forthcoming. We don't have any interest in that.
So far, you all have been the most honorable people we found in this city.
Mm-hmm.
That's like she hears that, and then she looks at Judge,
Yeah.
like, all right. Holy shit.
Much coming from a tiefling, but
I mean, you're a pretty impressive character.
I know, baby.
Shut up.
She's like, she's like, you're under a contract. You have an obligation to your employer. We can get you off the island. But do you have to fulfill that contract right this second?
No.
We don't even, like, us in person. We could fulfill the contract. We just send Angel.
The kid is out of
Danger.
Yeah.
the kid is out of there.
Yeah, he's
so
just
we can take care of
resting.
him.
Yeah.
So we don't need to leave immediately.
Right.
We just need to send the kid
Well, we should speak
back,
more
back
privately.
across the way if we are able.
Well, we could always send Leech to
Yeah.
take care of him on the ship to heal him.
The lieutenant says, maybe we're arresting them after all. And she's like, let's go back to the jail.
Wait a minute.
You'll be safe there. We can talk.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, all right.
So she escorts you folks to the jail, and now she's a little bit more kind of back in charge. And the jail's a squat stone building, very different from the library. And you're not under arrest. You're just guests of Red Falcons. And she says, do you folks want anything to drink?
Yeah.
She's like, can we get them? And they're like, yeah, we'll take care of it. And there's this is a place of business. Like, this is where criminals are being brought in, and there's magistrates
should,
here representing people.
We should. Fuck. Because they have a spy for Alvaro in there, so the 12 dragons are going to know.
I thought you were writing her a note that said that.
Well, yes, but we need to tell her that before.
Oh, I thought you passed it to her, like after you said
No,
you were
not
writing
quite.
it.
I was writing it, and then we started talking.
Oh.
So I'll go ahead and skip.
Can we
to this.
pretend it was passed on the way to the jail?
Yeah.
That's what I call.
That's what you wrote to me, man.
Oh. Welcome to Capitol.
All right, well,
She's like, you wouldn't happen to have any evidence, would you?
we can work on that, but not currently. Presently.
Right. She knows that everyone has, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Is it going to be an issue for us going back to your station with that spy potentially reporting to the Red Falcon or the 12 Dragons?
Spies. What? Like, why are we talking about spies?
Yeah. Well,
Alvaro's got wizards and oracles. They can know what they need to know.
Like as a pause, I don't think it was that because the spot, like the Alvaro spy, just said that he thought that we were coming to take the library, right?
yeah.
Which is why.
Well, that's what they thought too.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I mean,
well, it was ineffective, but that's fine.
there are spies.
The thing
Yeah.
is, it would have been whoever told them that they thought that we were there to take the library, right? It'd be that same person, presumably.
Well, yeah, potentially. Could have been that they saw us all coming there thinking we were doing that, and then that guy sent it over to Alvaro.
You guys are in a break room. It's very Spartan. It's pretty much the same as what you guys would have on if you had your own ship and it wasn't a squid ship, right? You would have your own mess hall and stuff like that. So it's very Spartan, and it's what you'd expect a bunch of cops to have. And here, Red Falcons often are out of their armor. They're wearing uniforms, and they bring you, alcohol to drink. And Lady Antonia and her lieutenant, she kind of sits down. She props one leg up on a chair and rests and they have a priest that's also in uniform comes and attends to her and makes sure that she's fully healed. And she kind of, after he's done his ministrations, she waves him off, and she waits till he's gone, and it's just her lieutenant and you folks in the mess. And there are a couple of guards that are guarding this room on the outside. And she's like, how many men could you muster if needs must?
Mustard.
How many came with mud?
Yeah, how many?
One unit of super elite light infantry.
Is that 20?
Doesn't matter how many there are.
Oh, okay.
Well, because we have 20. We have 27 others on the ship. I guess.
Yeah.
You guys basically have like,
It's 24.
24,
yeah, you
okay.
guys have one very small unit of medium infantry, and that's basically the people that made it to Capitol with you.
Mhm.
And now you've got a second unit you can.
So is
field.
that's not okay? That's like half. That's not a unit considered a.
So it's probably like
No,
60,
we have like 1.5.
60-ish people.
Okay.
No, she's interested like militarily. She doesn't want to know a number. She wants to know like we've got.
Oh, I
we
see.
have we have 2 units, and we have
Got
a
it.
very large squid ship.
Yeah.
Well, that's
One
not-
medium, one. light.
She's like, okay, I don't know what that means.
This is an illithid dreadnought.
She's like, what? Who are you people?
I couldn't help but notice that your death was very messy. We need to train.
I don't know how much training it would take to stop. And then she names Knight Commander Dicorano.
Dick Arano, of course it
Suits
is.
him.
Knight Commander Dickaro.
What's that?
I'm just getting the document back, so if we lose it, it's us who loses it versus Angel losing it. Because who knows what's the one that we sent to him?
Oh, you're getting it back.
Why are we getting it back?
Yeah, she. We don't.
Why do we want it
still-
with him?
But what if she
It's
finds
safe
it or
over on the other
something?
side.
We haven't told him the truth. have we?
Yeah.
Right, we haven't told them that we're still going to work with the Fulcrum to give them the seal, right? Unless we're canceling our contract, which is
Well,
super
I don't think we're going
against
to cancel our contract, but
But like, what if she
we
sees it and
we
says, like,
can talk about how we can not completely follow it to the letter of the law.
Okay.
But in my opinion, they dicked us around, and I don't like being dicked around.
We dick them
we
around.
came to the
And this
capital of Dick Around City.
You are king of Suckballs Mountain.
Dick
I agree
becomes
that's where
the
we
dick
are,
dick.
and if we want to survive, we're going to have to play their
We're
game
gonna have
a
to
little
play
bit.
dick ball.
Yeah, so definitely play dick ball. So right now we have the
Gara
thing,
will turn
and
up again.
right now we have the
You
thing,
called.
and we are the captain now. So, and I'd rather work with the Red Falcons to make this better for them than give the Fulcrum more power.
Word.
But Captain,
Why did you work for the
We-
Fulcrum in the first place? Why pick? She says, why pick the Fulcrum over House Alvaro?
We didn't know we were working for the Fulcrum.
Fulcrum have a lot of money. She says,
Well, we're in.
hire a lot of
We've been
troops.
here one day.
Well, we didn't think it was them because they weren't paying very well.
Yeah, the last mission we did was a lot of money, and that was for, we believe, Alvaro. But again, it was more
Wait, say
deceit.
that again.
The last job we did,
The last contract you
last
took. she
contract
said.
we did, was, we believe, for House Alvaro.
What do you mean you believe? You don't know who you're working for?
We were working for, what's his name, Reginald.
We work for who
through a
pays us,
proxy.
Yeah,
which was in this case Reginald Orfeo.
But he never
That's
made it
House
very
Alvaro.
clear who he worked for. He's an
Right.
undead or whatever you would call him, and so we knew that there was a house of undead people. We assumed that he was with them.
Well, he's a lawyer.
Well, yes, that's what we found out.
She's trying to process everything you just said. She's like, Fulcrum have a lot of money.
how do you feel about the Fulcrum?
I think they're rich. And they're not House Alvaro.
What's
But she says, I carry the prince's crown. I have to think about what the prince would have wanted. And he would want 12 dragons off this island.
If there were a way, hypothetically, to establish some sort of legal claim on this island, an authority that is, present and living, would that give you the ability to force them out, to force Alvaro's hand and make them piss off?
And then where would your allegiance lay?
My allegiance lies with the prince.
Therefore, if his situation came to pass, you would be.
She's sort of confused. She's like, I'm not a politician.
Well, neither
I'm
are
not
we.
sure I understand what you're saying. She's like, if there was a... She's like, my problem right now isn't... She's like, my problem right now is Commander DeCarano.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
what's the easiest
unless
way to get him off the island?
Kill him.
she's like puts her head in her hand and shakes, and her lieutenant points at Slim
Kill him.
and says, there's only one way to do it. Blood. And when she's done shaking her head, she's like, when you left the hill, and she's basically talking to her lieutenant. She's talking about what you folks did, but she's talking to her lieutenant. She's like, when you left the hill, you left them in charge. So unless we want to fight and die for it, they just took the library. Which means on the map of capital, the Pellet is two districts, one of which has no resource point on it. The other one does. It's the library. That one just changed color.
I think we should tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's speak plainly.
Yeah.
I think is our best. It's everybody's best interest.
So let's talk about how we're going to go about doing that real quick.
We're going to take a break.
Yeah, let's do that during break, I guess.
It's only 8:15, but this is, I think, the content for tonight. So when this wraps up, I think we're done for tonight. So it might be an early evening, but we are going to go take a bio break and get some munchies, and we will be back in about 13 minutes. Very precise estimate.
Ball form.
We're back.
Rate you.
No.
We're back. Everybody.
Are we?
Stop talking about Pokemons. Time to pretend to be adults. And pretend to be elves and dwarves and goblins and tieflings. So this is the point where if you've stuck with the stream this far, first of all, wow. And you're still watching, we like to check out any announcements we're going to do, we do now. For instance, we have a phenomenal wiki, and it seems like there's been a lot of work done on it quite recently, which makes us happy. It's a huge relief for me as a dungeon master, because when I don't remember something, I can go look it up in the wiki that folks are, and they scrub through like years of my campaign, because we had a whole other campaign that we streamed before this one. Two of them? Two of them. Well, we didn't stream all of it. We many hours of this, this world and this universe and stuff like that. And two of the most prolific contributors that we want to say thanks to are the Henry, it looks like is how you pronounce that person's name, and Caps and Numbers. There's a whole bunch of entries in there that have been. There are a lot of people working on it, and I see you folks in the Discord talking about how best to format stuff to make it easy to categorize and organize, and I think that stuff is phenomenal. So thank you, those of you who are helping make the wiki awesome. Is a huge use, especially for new viewers who want to know, like, who is Lady Serial? You can go look her up, and there's a huge entry for Lady Serial, the person who ostensibly hired these assholes in the first place. And now, I haven't seen this, so I got to make sure not to press the end of show button. That would be catastrophic. But we do occasionally get fan art. This is one of the most inspiring parts of us running this game and playing in front of you folks, is that some of the things that happen here inspire people to create things, and I consider that to be remarkable. And we're going to look at some of it right now. Whoa, look at that.
Oh, this is
Sweet. Oh, that guy must have been
Colville.
real disappointed when Sweet died. That's awesome.
Dude, he I think he 3D printed the belt too, to be
Yeah,
like
3D printed the buckle.
giant strength.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a
right,
dope
the
ass
buckle.
mustache. Ooh.
Slim.
I love slim art. Any slim art I am a
I
fan of.
love how green he is.
Look at that. That is, yeah, I love the chain
very
symbol
cute.
behind him. I haven't seen this. I hadn't seen the Sweet cosplay.
Yes! Look at that parasol.
I love all
Legend.
of this person's art. Like their interpretation of these characters is a lot of fun.
Parasol's pretty much how I imagine.
It looks like teeth, right? It looks like a teeth.
Look at Odie's little diaper.
Oh, cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
Ooh.
That pauldron.
We got a flaming hat on.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's kind of hard to tell from here, but like the sword is like two separate blades, like I think intertwining, which is really
Whoa.
cool.
That's cool. That's a good idea. I like that
I
idea.
love.
Yeah, this is, look at the Bodak in the background.
so scary looking.
Yeah, this is Boots giving Copper the thumbs up through the hole Copper made in the golem. That's supposed to be a hole in a golem that you can see through.
Oh, I
The
can.
rock golem.
I think people like drawing. Oh, what is this?
Well, I was talking to you about.
What is
Oh,
this?
what? Oh, yes! Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
Because there's King
This is
being
amazing.
very briefly
This is amazing.
hypnotized.
This is amazing.
Everybody else in the room just like,
He's got a hole in him as well.
yeah.
Whoa.
So I
So
think
this
you,
is rank and
Ooh.
file of the chain, like on Tumblr. A bunch of people made chain characters.
There's a bunch
They're
of.
so cool.
oh, this
There's
is
like
awesome.
a dozen of them, and they're awesome. Each one's like more amazing than the last. Like they're so much more creative than.
And we are. Yeah. Yes. This is the.
Aw.
Look, hey!
Vince.
Look, and look, there's
Hey,
Vince.
Vince.
And Vincey Prince. I almost brought my cat in today.
Aw.
Maybe next week we'll have Vincey Prince on the
Vincey
chain.
Prince.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Big cat. They're so cute.
Big
I think
cat.
it's a little
Best cat.
cackle.
Yeah, we should definitely have. What does this say? That's a yikes for me. That's a yeah.
Once again, they've nailed the facial
Yeah.
expressions
Yeah.
on these little cartoons.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Oh my god.
Thanks to everybody who makes this stuff. Whoa, what is this?
Oh, I've seen this one.
Whoa. This is another one of
Have you
the.
seen that
Whoa.
pole?
That pole.
Look at that, Scott. This is
Look, it's-
described.
It's the lizard thing.
Oh, yeah.
you're
that's
talking
exactly
about-
what this looks.
And you can see there's the eyes, the beholder eye
Beholder
stalks.
Yep.
That is awesome. Ooh.
Whoa!
One.
That's cool. Look at
That's
that.
Copper Crown.
Yeah.
After Sweet
And he's got
Oh.
Sweet's hat.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not crying.
Hopefully,
Hold up Nels' cigarette.
Got something in his eye.
My eyes are sweating.
My eyes are sweaty.
oh yeah, I saw
Nice.
this.
Oh
this
my
is
God.
This is the Sumat polls.
Dude, Arcbane killing it. Look, they have, are those Christmas bulbs?
That's fun.
What? Oh, yeah.
Oh my
it is.
God.
Are they apples? Are they fruit?
Well, some are blue.
No, yeah, they're definitely like look like Christmas tree bulbs.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, there's the map of capital. Look, holy crap!
Wait, it's already changed.
How did that happen?
What?
When did that happen?
Yeah,
It
look.
must have just happened because I didn't
Yeah,
do that.
37.
Holy
now under
crap!
House Alvaro, right?
It just
What?
changed.
That's crazy.
We have to change it back. Change it back.
That's amazing. I didn't know. That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
That must be Jerry. Jerry must have
That must have
seen that
happened live.
Jerry, if that was you that saw that happen live, A+ to
fast.
Jerry. That's awesome. That was really cool. So thanks for the folks that help us out with the wiki. It's fan managed. All that art was created by folks who just watched the Chain and are inspired, which is really neat. Obviously, you folks probably already know this, but if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, like I do, and I use that thing all the time, you also get a free Twitch Prime subscription that you can throw once a month to your favorite streamers who might be the people you're looking at now. I don't know. Could be anybody. So anyway, there was much discussion, obviously, during the break about WTF. And I don't know if any decisions were made or any agreements were come to.
We just fought a lot.
They just mostly argued about what is going on and what is going to happen next. So when last we left our heroes, you folks are in one of the mess rooms in the Red Falcons Jail, which is a very Spartan, squat building in the middle of. Now you are in House. I mean, according to that map, you're in House Alvaro territory.
The whole pellet?
Yeah. Well, no. You guys haven't left the district that the library's in.
Oh.
Yeah, well, that's fan art, so you know.
Based on what I just said. That's true. That's true.
You did describe it as going
Up the date
Correct.
fan art.
Yep. That was pretty live. That is,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, what do you? Let's see. What is Lady Antonia going to do? What did you folks talk about offline? Like, what's your plan now?
We
What's your
talked about
crazy
telling her about
cockamamie
the
plan?
document.
Yes. That basically we would give House Bernadetti claim over the pellet.
Not that
There.
that was, yeah.
Yeah, and therefore the Fulcrum as well.
Not that that was our contract, but that we just found it.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
that's
on the courier.
if we go about.
Or-
That's what the kid was sent here.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
We also talked about like just fulfilling the contract and like letting it take its course kind of thing.
Slim seems to be in favor of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our
That's
thing.
our thing, right?
Is to fulfill the contract. Were there any other things that we discussed as far as like other alternative options on the table? 'Cause we
Oh,
did-
somebody sent us these dope ass pins and a bunch of cool big cats. Two different people. Somebody said, your fans make you awesome, amazing stuff. So we have sent you some crap.
Cheap
literally, some cheap crap is literally what they said. This one says, Matt continually distracts me, which, as everybody knows, is one of the things people think MCDM stands for. What is the official MCDM?
Matthew
Matthew Colville Dick Muncher.
That's what. Yeah, that is Matt O'Driscoll's interpretation of MCDM. Also, we got a blimey.
Yes, there's a blimey.
Blimey
I've
button.
had the blimey on all evening. Blimey.
Blimey.
Also, we got World's Okayest Dungeon Master, which I think was
Accurate.
yeah.
Generous.
Right. So yeah. Anyway,
So the discussion right now is whether or not we're going to reveal the document to
Yeah.
Yes.
the Red Falcons.
because
well, Lady Antonia is going to leave. She and her lieutenant are going to leave the room and let you guys talk for a while. She's got stuff to do. She has business to attend to because now apparently 12 Dragons is in charge of her territory and she has to deal with that. But she tells you that she'll be back in about 20 minutes.
I mean, there's really no reason why we need to tell her that. Just fulfill the contract, and if she's got another contract for us, we could take it.
And
Or, sorry.
I was just saying, as she said she said something like, it wasn't Alvaro, meaning as long as it's not Alvaro, it's someone else. She's okay with. I think she might be okay with that.
yeah, because the other thing about that contract about not the contract but the document that we have, it says that the prince who she serves and who she abides by the rules of, even in death, is that
Even in death.
is that like whatever he decreed, she will follow, right? That seems to be the general consensus there. And so because this document says Bernadetti is in ownership of the pellet,
Yeah.
then you would think she would be okay with that. So I don't know if there's actually any net gain to giving her the heads up on it, other than like maybe we want to work with her or something.
And then the thing is, like, the thing I was trying to get at before was, well, if suddenly, she doesn't have a job because Benedetti, maybe she wants to come hang with the chain.
Well, the other thing is we also might be able to work out something with the Fulcrum to try and keep her in her position and she would just then work with Benedetti or
How does
something
that
along
help
those
us?
lines.
My mentality with it is, I personally feel that they've fucked us around a little bit. But so I think we talked about this a little bit while drinking delicious wine drinks. But
Oh, is this Friday night?
this was a little bit Friday night. It came up that we should push for a little bit
Talking about
more
work.
because they kind of fucked us around. They put us in, and they want to install somebody
Mud
here.
says, "Wait, who fucked who around?"
The Fulcrum sent somebody else to get us to do this job. They weren't forthcoming about what they wanted done or what it was going to start.
Mud looks at Boots and Judge and looks back and says, "Forthcoming."
Do you
Right?
need the definition or?
Just
So
not
we're
something
in
I'm
a
used to worrying
city
about.
where it's basically a big. Well, fuck, dynamite doesn't exist in this world.
I've got an idea.
There's gunpowder.
Yeah, so there's
apparently you
like-
guys, House Verona, their ships have
Cannons.
Yeah, they got
cannons.
the cannons, huh?
They have cannons.
I'm getting
So imagine just a big stack of gunpowder surrounded by a bunch of matches, and anything can set them off. And they tried to use us as the match.
Is that not our job?
I mean, it's part of it, but it doesn't mean that we can't demand. That's a higher paying job than the fucking piddly amount of money that we.
Boots is about to eat his mustache. What do you have to say?
Boots is about
I would never.
What we talked about,
Oh,
anyways,
I could
was
flavor it.
trying to get us over established on this island. They want to put somebody in charge of this island that's under their wing. Why not have somebody who can fucking defend it versus this random Bernadetti guy?
Or we could just go take the Citadel back like that one person wanted to pay.
That's in their territory, though, and that's for them again. If we go try to take that, they're going to come and fight us to take that back because that's their territory that we're taking.
Whose-
I think we're
whose
gonna
territory
have
is
to-
it?
The Fulcrums.
I think we're
I was
gonna have to
informed
pick
by
sides.
I don't know. I think his name is Matthew Colville, Dick Muncher. Part of the book that we worked on was Strongholds and Followers, and when you take something,
Correct.
take a stronghold.
Right.
It's not yours until you defend it. So,
Yeah.
do we want to defend it against the Fulcrum?
That was true of.
In their
Don't forget that
territory?
was true of Castle Rend. You guys cleared out Castle Rend, but then you had to defend it against Lord Saxton before it was yours.
Mm-hmm.
I've got an idea.
Mhm.
If we fulfill this contract, the Fulcrum effectively takes control of the Pellet, right? Which means that the Fulcrum forces are going to be custodians of the island, right? They have to defend their stronghold, which means that the Red Falcons, whose commander owes us her life, they're out of a job. We could just sort of, bring them into the fold. We expand our army, and then, we can just.
How are they out of a job? They protect the island under the prince's orders.
Yeah, but
as Matt said out there,
If either, I think what Boots is saying is that if either faction that's currently trying to, like, one faction hired you to take the island, another faction sent their army to take the island, whichever of those factions wins, then the island's theirs, and Red Falcons don't have anybody to work for.
Yeah. So here's the thing: the Dragon Knights that are there right now, like they're in charge. So essentially, right now, Red Falcon's sort of unemployed. If we fulfill that contract, remember part of the payment was that they were going to sort of certify, my Riojan heritage, and that might come with its own lands or structures or holds that are perhaps somewhat strong.
okay, well then back to the question of are we going to tell her about this, or are we just going to tell her that
I think-
let's keep in contact?
I think we should tell her that that this situation isn't about to. Hey, today's not about to get any better. The situation on this
redundant.
island is not going to get any better, especially once we fulfill this contract. Because then the Fulcrum's going to want to come in, and then the Fulcrum's going to have to deal with the Dragon Knights and Alvaro, and I don't think any of us are going to want to fucking be here.
The
Correct.
door opens
The
and
Yes.
orcs attack. How the fuck did you get here?
last thing I'm
Nothing
gonna,
but dead
last thing I'm
bodies
gonna say
outside.
is, are we then revealing that we technically lied to her in with the other contract.
She doesn't need to know.
She comes in. Lady Antonia opens the door. Her lieutenant is kind of right behind her, and she has a leather sack. And she walks in. She's stepping through the doorway and looks at you and says, "You sit." And she looks in and she turns to her lieutenant and says, "There's only 5 in here." And he's like, "That's all I had." She's like, "Well, give me yours." So can't I? She's like, "We'll find you another one." And he takes a seal off his hip and puts it in the bag. And she kind of shakes the bag and walks in and says, "You saved my life. And right now we need allies." And she takes out 6 seals. And she says, "These will be a lot more useful to you than the courier seals you're carrying." And they're ornately, it's a word I use a lot. They are very finely crafted metal medallions. They're about this big, and they have a wax imprint on them that is stamped. And she hands you each one, and she points at one, and she's like, "That's the prince's seal. With these, you can go anywhere in the city."
Whoa. Ooh, with weapons?
Yep.
Very nice.
And, and spell casting?
No, spell.
No.
Oh, right.
Separate.
Okay, yeah.
She's like, we don't
We're gonna have to deal with
enforce
the church.
arcane law.
Yeah.
Don't you have
only
any
do-
more of those shiny new daggers?
So yeah, she goes, I don't know how much of a difference this is going to make, but
Every little bit counts,
All
right?
right, spill it.
Well, if you find yourself in need of getting off of the island because of these people, we're over on the stays.
her lieutenant looks at her like, "Yeah, that sounds good."
Yeah.
And she's like,
Let's
"Off
keep
the
each other
island.
in mind.
This is a sworn oath to defend this place." I took my oath when the prince was still alive.
Been around that long?
It's been less than 10 years.
The
That's a long time.
Oh.
I'm gonna let you go ahead and do it.
Oh, you're going to tell us bad news?
Do it.
After
Should I tell
telling
her?
us these things?
Yeah.
Yes, spill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says. Tell me.
I hope this doesn't offend you too greatly, but
The lieutenant says, "She's hard to offend."
all right. The job wasn't the kid.
That wasn't what we.
Yeah. No, that wasn't.
We talked about telling her.
So,
Too late now. It's too late now. This is on a roll.
She goes, uh-huh.
We have a document
Yeah.
that says that basically gives a legal claim on this island
From the prince,
from the prince,
a previous prince.
previous prince, about 300 years ago. That gives House Brew.
Wait. What document?
It's
This is something you recovered from the library.
yes.
That's what the kid was sent there to get.
Well, hold on. Let's tell you what this is first.
This document gives claim.
That you claim exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I finish a sentence?
It's important.
I'm just kidding. Boots wouldn't say that. That's rude. I'd say that to you because
It's fine.
It's you.
Yeah. Wait, I wasn't talking. I was talking to her.
You're saying her
it's a strong wine. Woo. This document claims to give ownership or custodianship or what have you of the island to House Brunadetti, who
It's Brunadetti.
seems to be working under the Fulcrum or working with the Fulcrum or a part of the Fulcrum in
She
some
turns to
shape or
Lieutenant.
form.
Lieutenant's like, never heard of him.
Oh, it's a minor house.
Now, as your lieutenant said, we are men of honor. And to fulfill this contract would essentially put this island in the hands of the Fulcrum. And as you said yourself, the Fulcrum are very rich. The Fulcrum are not House Alvaro. But at that point, we might be talking about sparking on a full-blown war.
Well, she says, and she gestures, holds out her hand to her lieutenant, and the lieutenant hands her a broadsheet. And across, you've now seen several different broadsheets, and this one is the largest headline you've ever seen, and it just says "War." And it shows a map of capital, and it's highly stylized. It's like calligraphic. It's drawn with a quill pen, and it shows that the Fulcrum have lost the district that contains the Citadel, and that it's currently in House Navarre's hands, I believe.
Oh.
Interesting.
And there's probably a couple of other spots on the map where neutral territory has changed hands, but Matt doesn't know which ones yet. So you will find out when I find out.
Are there still princess territories within?
Yeah, there's still, but a lot of the princess territory has already been gobbled up.
Wow. Okay. So even just like the hint or like the threat of potentially somebody trying to claim over the pellet has basically set it off a chain reaction all over the place. For
Well, if you
stuff
read
to start
the
happening.
Citadel thing had already happened.
Very good.
Remember
Correct.
the
The
lady
Citadel-
came down?
Yeah, you guys were basically there when the Citadel thing happened.
Yeah.
Like that happened while you guys were talking.
Mhm.
And so if you read the article, I don't think there's been open war yet, but it talks about 12 dragons taking, in a bloodless coup, I think is the phrase it uses. 12 dragons have invested is the phrase that they deploy, has invested the library.
I mean, she bled a lot.
Yeah. What kind of reporter writes bloodless? Shitty.
Well, I think the people are expecting a lot of war. And so something like what happened that you guys just were part of, like there were Red Falcons have
Probably pretty abnormal.
like Red Falcons.
Relatively.
There was like at least an entire unit worth of infantry, including pikemen, just in Red Falcons, plus 12 dragons. They had a unit, plus you guys had a unit, and somehow that territory changed hands and a fight did not happen. So yeah, somebody died, but people die all the time.
Changed hands. Bullshit.
Anyway, she throws the broadsheet on the table.
To mention us in the part about the Falcons.
I don't know. It might. I don't think it does.
Okay.
I think it just talks about 12 dragons and Red Falcons and a battle for the library.
Cool.
Or conflict. It says a conflict over the library. And the Red Falcons retreated.
Why not good?
Anyway. So what you were saying
Back here.
that there's this mythical document
Back to the
that says that this whole island belongs to somebody I've never heard of.
It's not mythical.
So you say.
We've laid eyes upon it.
Get it out.
Yeah, let's just show her.
Yeah. Whop it out.
Chain chats.
What?
Let's go to chain chats to Angel.
All right. Well, you've got the document now.
Okay. Well,
She reads it, and she says, "Well,
Yeah. Right.
you lied to us about why you were here, but that's okay. We didn't believe you about that anyway." And she reads it. She folds it up, and she's like, "Commander King, what would you do in my shoes?" She hands her the document back.
well, let me tell you a story about a town called Black Bottom.
She's like, "I've been to Black Bottom. Why are we talking about Black Bottom?"
Because it was destroyed.
Right.
Yeah. So if it's looking like this area is going to be destroyed, you got to do right by your men and retreat to still fulfill your job, which is protecting this land. Now, you may lose it temporarily, but that doesn't mean you've completely lost. You haven't completely lost until you're dead in the ground.
Her lieutenant says, she's sitting down. She sits down, and he's standing kind of above and behind her, and says, "What about the prince?" And she's like, she goes, "I don't know why we would retreat unless there was some reason to believe that there was going to be another prince. Probably whoever wins this battle, this war, whoever ends up in charge of capital, will get the privy. They'll declare a new privy council, murder anybody on the old one that doesn't agree to it. The new privy council will declare them the prince, and then we'll be working for them. At that point, anybody who's left alive, the war's over." She's like, "Yeah, but what if that prince is..."
A douche.
Yeah.
A dredge.
She's like, "Well, I wasn't a huge fan of the old prince."
Now you tell it.
Like, if we're talking about his character, but that's never been much of an issue for her.
It seems some prince at some point wanted this house to have the island.
She says, I don't know if I have it in me to retreat. And the lieutenant says, do you have it in you to fight and die and get all the men killed? For what? And they're obviously having, she kind of turns to him like, we'll talk about this outside.
Well, the thing about this document is that it does legitimize a claim over this island. So nobody can blame you for relinquishing it to the rightful owners. And I feel free in saying that I think there's always a spot for us in the chain for you.
And your men.
The lieutenant kind of goes, huh? And she's like, House Alvaro, Lady Shirome go to war. Who does the chain work for? In that scenario, she says. It's not your fight. You just take your pay and go back to where it is you came from.
We live here now. So we pick the jobs based on the client and based on the pay.
I don't think. I think we probably gotta explain to her the fact that maybe the long run game is like Ajax, right? Like we don't want to work with somebody who's directly trying to benefit that guy.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah.
I was thinking more so of going into like why we accepted our last job at Impossible Odds, which, if you've read that Chronicle entry,
I read all the Chronicle entry.
well, I was gonna make a joke about the book, but
Well, the job wasn't to defeat Ajax; it was to kill his wizard.
yeah, but a piece of that was we were choosing to take the right side now versus potentially a higher paying side later. So we, at this point, we're trying not to work for assholes, and the 12 Dragons are for sure assholes, and not somebody we would work for, even if they were going
The
to offer
lawyer's
us a
an
ton of
asshole
money.
too. They're all assholes on that side.
Well, he's a sexist, but he didn't, come and cut down a woman in the middle of the fucking street.
Also an asshole. Both of them are sexist assholes.
Fulcrum's got a lot of money.
It's true. We also don't fully know what their stance is in regards to Ajax or anything like that, but they have a lot of influence.
Lady Antonia stands up and kind of comports herself and says, well, I guess I need to talk to Lady Shirome. When you complete your contract, let her know that the captain of Red Falcons would like to speak with her. And then the lieutenant says, or a duly appointed representative.
Mm-hmm.
Will do.
She says, remember now, for whatever it's worth, you carry the prince's seal.
We'll try to do right by it.
You saved my life. So, for what it's worth, if you need anything, let me know.
Oh, and here's your letter back.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you wanted me to hold on to it for future events.
The letter that she wrote and gave to her lieutenant?
Yeah.
No, the one, she wrote one
Oh.
and gave it to us, I thought, and say, you said they're men of honor, get this to my husband.
She gave that to
Yeah.
her lieutenant.
Oh, I thought she gave that to us.
No.
Mm-mm.
No, it's her. So her lieutenant had that.
Oh, okay.
He gives it back to her. It's a good idea. He says it's a good idea, but you don't got that letter. I do.
Mhm.
And she takes it and doesn't even read it and crumples it and throws it away.
Tell yourself.
She says, well, I guess we still have to get you to the... She says we still have to get you out of the columns. But that's just a formality. Assuming 12 Dragons doesn't try to stop us, once we get to the Olive District, you'll be free to go.
Let's do it.
All right.
And she escorts you personally out of this district. There's still a city gate that divides the two districts, and it's still manned by Red Falcons. There's no evidence when you leave the jail that 12 Dragons is in charge. Business as usual seems to be happening.
As usual.
Business as
Usually.
usual.
And you folks are free to go and do what you want. You now have Knight's seals legitimately given to you by Prince's representative. And you've finished the library job. You all level up.
Yay!
Blimey.
That's awful fast for you.
Huh?
It's awful fast for you.
Yeah, I
I
know.
believe this
5,
is
6, 7.
session number
16,
17.
17.
17. Yeah, so we're talking about currently a level every 8.5 sessions.
Or
Isn't it
for
episode
Leech,
16
it was
today?
pretty quick.
7.
what?
I think
Next
last
episode
was 16.
today.
Last time was 16. I just did campaign diary.
Yeah.
Campaign diary number 16.
This is Leech's seventh
And so,
session.
Well, you had to catch up.
I know.
correct. So now you're taken to the like your ship is at the docks.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Your ship is at the docks, and Lady Antonia is kind of like, "Holy crap! What the fuck is that?" She doesn't swear.
Behold.
She doesn't swear. She says, "Holy crap! What is that?"
The Somnium Tenebris.
We didn't name it.
You got it like this.
We should maybe give it its own
Oh,
nickname.
yeah.
Where did you? She's
Right
like,
on.
"Where did you get that from?"
Some wankmaster Illithid probably named it that. Dumb dross.
It's bad luck to rename a ship, bro. You can't do that.
How would the ship know who we were talking to when you called it out? Like, it's gonna take a long time to teach it its new name.
We got
She's
that
like,
from the
squid.
Astral Sea.
Call him squid.
Is that
from
your
the
ship?
Last people who tried to fuck us.
I
up.
command this ship.
She shakes your hand and says, "Good luck."
Same to you.
Same to you.
Shit starts popping off out here between the Fulcrum and the 12 dragons.
Good
Let them
luck.
fight.
yeah. Good luck
Well,
with that.
I've still got the prince's crown. Just let Lady Shiromi know I want to talk to her.
All right.
Will
Got
do.
you have the what?
The prince's crown.
Like the actual crown?
No, it's a coin.
A seal.
Oh,
It's a coin.
okay.
It's just a
Symbolic.
coin.
Like, wait a minute.
It's symbolic. Yeah.
I gotcha.
But let Shiromi know I have the hand of that.
Just let her know that I've got a Green Lantern power ring. No, no, she's like she still has to figure out how to like what is her legal responsibility.
Yeah.
Like forget what I want to do. You know what I want to do is I want to go home and see my husband. But what I'm obligated to do is follow the law. The Red Falcons are the rule of law on this island. She goes, I don't care what goes on in the city, but here at least things are still run like they were in Old Capital. And so we may end up working for 12 dragons. And she
Well-
shakes her head like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But
Let's hope
It
not.
just
Let's hope it doesn't get to that.
anyway,
All right. Let's fulfill this contract.
No, we're absolutely going to. But
guys, I
I
assume you
want to
take
talk
the,
to fucking Shiromi.
Huh?
I want to talk to Shiromi, not her lackey. I'm not going to hand it over to the lackey. I'll say, we need to go to the top and have a conversation. But that's...
Two Shoes is on the Somnium Tenebris and welcomes you folks back. And it's like, oh, Bud. And Bud's like, sup? And they take the unit of scouts on the ship. And the chain soldiers that are manning the ship are ecstatic to discover that there's a unit of advanced scouts that survived the fall of Black Bottom. And Mud's like, I think there's more, but I don't know where they went. I just kind of had to think about where Sweet would go, and I figured he'd come to Capital.
All right. I wonder if there's some way we could put the word out. Like if any others made it to Capital. We've got our spy network.
Well, that, and we should probably put information out to... What is it? Not Corsair. What's it called?
Corsair?
I've been listening to too much Black Company. I want to say Cadavar, but that's definitely...
Cadavar? Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, the place that just fell. Like if there's
Kamara.
refugees...
Kamara.
Where did I get Corsair?
Well, you could probably get some refugees, but like they just lost a war.
Well, yeah,
So
but if
the-
there's people who are,
No, they're definitely
up in arms
some
about
bunch of
Ajax, might as well know
anti-Ajax.
they have allies here.
Yeah, I mean there'll be a lot of anti-Ajax people in Capital once that dude's knocking on the door.
I feel like in
Like,
Black
right-
Bottom too, right?
Right now, he's kind of I mean, I don't.
Black Bottom got
It's
nuked.
not clear how many people survived the fall of Black Bottom.
Hmm.
Like Ajax left Black Bottom alone and let it govern itself when he conquered all the rest of Vasloria. He's like, you guys can stay a free city. You guys can run business how you want because it helps. Because he wants to run this whole planet at some point, and so he wants to make sure there's at least some people who are like, hey, this is awesome. And then they kind of tried to fuck him, and so he wiped them off the map. But yeah, I mean, there'll be people in the city who are super anti-Ajax once this fucking floating fortress is hovering over the air. Anyway, so yeah, you folks level up. What do you do when you're back on the boat? Where are you going to go?
I think we have to go back to the stays, right?
Yeah.
We still have this kid we need to
Oh, the
deliver at
kid
least
too.
to the Heraldric Society. We don't necessarily need to give them the
He's long
document.
rest.
he's still on the back
Well,
of
no,
big
I
tank.
want
Yeah,
to...
exactly.
Those, by the way, if you take a long rest on the Somnium Tenebris or wherever, you go back to the Pharaoh's Dream. Wherever you take your long rest, you'll recover the hit points that you lost from the battle
okay.
with the Spectres,
Yeah, I'd
and
like a long rest.
Bodak.
I'm gonna take a long rest in my fucking little
Your exfoliating bed.
bed.
Your gelatinous bed.
Yes.
I'll pop down to surgery and just rest there.
Fair enough. Yeah.
We're gonna revive the kid first. Take care of him. Get him some food, some pudding. Pudding might kill him.
So you folks are at some point going to go back to the stays and let the Heraldric Society know that you found their courier and you recovered the document. You're going to give them the document, I assume.
I don't think we were going to give him the document. We're going to give him the kid,
Oh.
but we were.
Oh
gonna
no,
try and get an
we're gonna give it
audience.
to him, but we want an audience with Shiromi.
The herald's like, with Lady Shiromi.
Yes.
You say we? Do you mean you or
Us too.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, I can certainly let her know. Thank you.
The commander of the Red Falcons also would like to. Have an audience with
The commander of Red Falcons. Red Falcons.
Well,
from the Pellet.
From the Pellet.
Oh, the prince's troops on the Pellet. Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
as you know, the 12 dragons showed up and taken over.
12 dragons. The Herald,
And that's what
the
we
Herald apparently the half-elf Herald apparently has no idea what you're talking about.
That's why we're not giving the document to this person. We're saying we need to talk to Shiromi about this document, and we know that you work for Shiromi. And in order for
she's obviously a very important patron of the society. I mean,
I guess a better way to put it, we need to talk to Shiromi or her spy master, or somebody up the chain.
Does Lady Shiromi have a spy master?
This person sucks.
She just blabbing all kinds of information to this lowly putz.
He wouldn't do anything with it.
You work for the Fulcrum, right?
It seems like it's like a sponsorship.
I assure you,
kind of situation, right?
Sponsored by the Fulcrum.
We do a brisk business with all the guilds. Lady Shiromi and her friends, who I consider also friends of mine, often come to us.
At the back of my skull. King's eyes are rolling at the back of the skull.
It's like, well, we have no. Certainly, we're an independent. We have a charter from the prince. We're not. We're the royal, emphasis on royal Heraldric Society. I mean, we're even helping research your friend Shoes here.
We know you work for Shiromi. The Pellet is in danger. You were trying to establish somebody who's going to have control over the Pellet. And we need to talk to Shiromi because we just almost got killed over the Pellet procuring this document by Alvaro.
Killed?
Yes.
Oh, the mausoleum?
Yeah. No.
Very dangerous, I hear.
No. Mausoleum was fucking easy.
Well, I'm glad I hired you. Obviously, I picked the right people.
I don't think this guy's going to be able to help us get an audience with Shiromi. I think he's
let's
too
go
low
back.
level.
Let's go back to your
the document and we're going to hand deliver this to Shiromi.
What?
Let's go back to your let's go to the Royal Heraldic Society. Let's talk to your boss.
I assure you, I am the highest authority.
You're speaking to the manager already.
Yeah.
Let's go back there.
You report to someone.
Lady, I don't work here. No. Make a persuasion check. Or actually, it's up to you what kind of skill you want. You can try to intimidate this guy, but his reaction is to he appears to be not incredibly forthcoming with granting you an audience.
I can do intimidation whenever I snatch the document away.
It's up to you folks. You're
Intimidate really well.
I mean, if you'd like to, go for it.
Just because, because
Just got
they're just gonna snatch the document. It's like, let's go back to the Heraldric Society and see if we can figure this out, can't we? And then 19.
no, holy
that's still good.
shit!
That's an
Did
8.
you-
I rolled an 8, but I have a plus 11
Jesus.
Oh, the default.
all the time.
The herald's like, by all means, yes. Let's
Quickly.
go. Yes, and so
Nice.
all right. So this is basically the end of the session. When we get together next week, I apologize for those of you who are hoping it was going longer. I actually have no idea what time it is right now. It seems early.
9:11.
Yeah, I figured this was going to be I've often threatened to have a short session. So next week, you guys will meet Lady Shirome or some
We will.
or some duly appointed representative.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Or some
That's the word I was looking for.
or some duly
representative.
appointed representative.
Mhm.
But also, this is now, you just completed one contract. We have no idea what the next job or indeed mission or adventure is going to be. So now this is downtime. So next time when we get together, some of this downtime may happen offline or some of it may happen live next week. We'll say, okay, here, I know you want to get a weapon made out of sin metal. There was something Slim wanted to do. And Slim is going to be helping forge your sword.
And
you're
reading
actually
that book.
a blacksmith and reading the book. You want to go check out the Tiefling ghetto town. There was a point when you wanted to go to the Church of Higara and talk to those guys. I don't know if you still do. So if there's anything you folks want to do between adventures, by the way, you are now Knights of Capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere you want, and you're
Do whatever you wanna
you
do.
don't have to. So I will do my best to present a map to you guys that has a list of all the different places and where you can go and what you can do. But basically, any service you can imagine in a huge fantasy city, anything that could be done through the use of either magic, technology, or cash can be found in Capital if you know the right people. You also don't forget you have a spy network who's probably going to be feeding you more information. And Sumat Pole still owes you. That's sorry.
Alternate universe.
Yeah, Sumat Pole still owes you guys.
Shut it down.
Still owes you folks some information. So we will pursue that stuff next week. But yeah, you guys leveled up.
Yay.
We don't have to stop playing right now.
I want to. Well, there was a couple other things I want to do actually.
Uh-huh.
For the next time or whenever we do the downtime stuff, is I want to find out if there's an Illrigger Society.
Yep.
If the spy network can lead me there, and also a Church of Asmodeus would be cool.
A Church of Asmodeus.
If that exists, if there's like a place
One on every
like
street.
that.
Oh, bro.
I'm saying we have a spy network. They were probably in some seedy areas.
Well, you can definitely have Angel find out. Hey, are there any like cults of Asmodeus?
Mm-hmm.
Cult.
That's such a dirty word. Church. A place of worship.
Wrong dimension. There, Tito.
Similar.
So if there's anything you folks want to do and you want to do it now, let me know because I'm going to prep that content for next week.
I want to find out if I've gotten any special elven sort of speed metal delivered, and also check in on my boys at the Footstool.
Right. What did you ask for Sumat Pole for? You want basically like a rapier of speed is what you're asking for. Right?
Yeah.
I'd
And
I want to.
and wasn't there something else
I asked
you guys were asking Angel to do for you? I've got it written down somewhere, so even if you don't remember right now, I will.
We had asked him for the information. Well, we kind of got that.
Yeah, there's others. Don't worry. There's other stuff that you've asked for that I do remember.
I asked for
But,
the mage killer or metal.
Yeah. The blood metal or whatever the hell it's called. Right.
And we asked Pumat Soul for information about
Sumat
missing
Soul.
artifacts.
Who?
Pumat, whatever.
Come
The
on, man, legendary
Neon.
shopkeeper.
because you guys keep saying it backwards, and
I think that might be the
12
first time I've gotten
Falcons.
wrong.
It is.
I think that might be the
I'm
first
so
time I've gotten wrong
surprised.
because I
Red
often
Dragon.
say Sumat Pole, and I went, wait, I stop and I play it back, and I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen sooner or later.
but
And
information-
also, don't you folks want? You guys all also are trying to figure out who you guys can get authority to cast spells from.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
Very important.
And
That'll be pretty easy, but it might require you guys doing a job for somebody.
I would like Angel to do some digging on like what the state of my house is in.
Well, the Herald's working on that for you. But yeah, all right.
I thought the Herald was just getting him claim, but are you talking about like if you have any existing relatives?
Right.
Hmm.
If any of them are still alive
And a sin metal weapon.
or around.
You're gonna be busy, Phil.
Me?
Yeah, because you're the local blacksmith as far as as far as these assholes are concerned.
Yeah. That's fine.
Leech wanted a way to either buy or make his own different potions.
Oh, you want to be alchemist?
Particularly, like health potions, poisons.
Toad can probably help with that too. Toad's supposed to be, or is it Toad or is it Cook? One of those.
Toad is definitely like if there's anybody who's going to know alchemy, because they are notorious on Ix for using poisons
Yeah.
and also all sorts of crazy hallucinogenic.
He's like the Beastmaster guy or whatever,
yeah,
but he
that's
has a whole bunch of like poison frogs with him.
Yeah.
So I think he uses that for
Yeah, he
poison.
carries them with him every once in a while.
Why doesn't speak? He's too tripped out.
Well, I think OD can fly potions. Like he can carry so many potions. I understand. Maybe
Wait,
one.
OD, well, you can carry stuff, yeah.
It's like a drone.
You could like, I could give him like. I think there's one where a potion I was reading about. You kind of let it out, and as it hits the air, it turns into fire. So it could be like a little napalm.
We'll see about that.
I found it on some site somewhere.
Wait, weren't you going to do something with that metal that you got?
Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I've got
that's
that.
got
yeah.
that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I was saying you're going to be busy.
Yeah.
Because he wants you to forge a sin metal weapon.
Going to be a weapon. I've gone against armor.
Like technically,
Would I know how to
like.
do that? I mean, I am
Well, you know how to
proficient
make
in
make weapons.
blacksmith tools.
Well, that's what
I mean,
Butts
imagine-
is for.
Yeah, Butts is helping out because she's a wizard.
You need three things. You need a
Enchanter.
smith, just a regular everyday smith who knows how to make weapons or armor.
Okay.
You need the special metal, and you need a wizard.
Okay.
And the wizard, there's a fourth thing that you technically need, which is a recipe. And you guys don't have any recipes,
Oh, yeah.
but we're gonna wing it because there's lots of things you can do with the sin metal. There's like the basic properties you guys already know, but there's lots of things, lots of weapons and armor you can only make with sin metal. A lot of it's obscure. Same thing's true of the sun metal, the blood metal. They're not each one specific thing. They each have a basic property, and then there's all these branching different things you can make from them. But you guys haven't found any recipes yet, so we're gonna have to kind of wing it.
All right.
And Judge is supposed to get a demon heart sword.
Yeah. I hope that
Oh,
one goes
didn't I have
wrong.
to do something with that too?
Yep, that's what I meant when I said you're gonna be busy. You got all this stuff to do.
Me first.
I got to read my book.
You do gotta read.
can.
Well,
You
maybe
gotta
there's
read a book.
like maybe you guys need to find another blacksmith.
You could
What you do want to do? Read the book or make weapons?
Well, it depends. How many days do I have?
you could just head to the astral sea. Take as long as you need. Come back. It'll be like 2
Is
days
it
later,
actually different
and you'll
time?
have spent like
Yeah.
hundreds of years.
No, you just don't age.
No, it's not. He does. Time doesn't really. No.
Oh.
It is different space.
The bullet
Yes,
timer
it's not
so
different
cool.
time. It is different time in the sense that time and space are basically the same phenomenon. So you guys were that's what Mud meant when Mud's like still don't know how you guys got here before us because he doesn't know about the Somnium. He doesn't know about the Rosso Cielo.
Right.
She doesn't know about the Rosso Cielo, and the whole thing they did to get into the astral sea.
So how much time is going to pass? Like a week?
It's not gonna be more than 2 weeks, I don't think.
Okay.
And
Well, I mean, because to read the book, I forget how. It's like
It's a month.
It's a
It's a
month.
month.
A month?
it's a month.
I don't think so.
Well,
How
hang
much
on a second.
time? Yeah, because we'll need to see.
I've got access to smart people who know things that I don't.
Yeah, because we'll need to figure out how much time it will take to make each of the weapons and everything else to figure out like.
If you spend 48 hours over a period of 6 days or fewer studying the book's contents, practicing its guidelines, your wisdom score. Yeah.
Transcendental Tardigrade said, "How long do you think the 12 Dragons commander's brain could power a psionic cannon?"
Oh.
Love to find out.
That's
Quite
an
a lot.
experiment I would like
Quite
to
a
try.
lot.
I like
Probably.
that person.
The chat has dubbed the Dragon Knight Commander Dickaroni. Dickaroni Parmesan.
Fuck, Chair. What am I trying to say?
Steve Voss gifted 20 subs. I know Steve Voss from chat. Thank you very much, Steve.
Wow.
20 subs is a colossal amount of money to spend on this nonsense, I think.
Seriously.
We appreciate,
Especially for a short episode.
deeply appreciate it. Also, when you guys return to the Pharaoh's Dream, your super fancy duds are waiting for you.
They are.
Yes.
Just
So you guys are now going to get
Great.
everybody but Leech.
Yeah.
Been my fucking mess.
Everybody
Put
but
some
Leech.
lace around your
Which means,
apron.
by the way, that you guys are now going to get a minor bonus to any kind of diplomacy checks you make
Oh, nice.
with nobles in the city because you spent the money and are now properly dressed.
Well,
Not only that,
almost.
but I'm starting a new fashion trend. Armor with foppish wear. Clothing.
It's really
Everyone likes
velvety.
Seraphim333 also gifted 20 subs.
Holy shit.
Damn.
Fought more.
The percentage of people in our chat to people with subscriptions is, I think it's probably one of the highest on Twitch.
Sweet.
There are certainly more popular Twitch streams than ours, but I can't imagine that they have the same crazy percentage of subscribed users.
Yeah, with the dirt emote.
Dale Kingsmill apparently has a dope apothecary system, which I will look into.
Right.
Oh, what?
What? Sorry.
Speaking of that kind of stuff, you know those arrows I got?
Yes.
Is that wherever they came from?
They
like that-
are a famous elven archer's arrows.
I like the idea of like maybe I can't make anything as strong as them, but like if I could learn that type of like craft thing, is that like, or is that like a magic user kind of a?
Well, making magic items takes
No, we-
people that know how to cast spells.
Right.
But it depends. Like we can talk.
Yeah.
If you want to there are ways to do it.
Okay.
Like if you want to make magic arrows,
Yeah.
it depends on what kind of magic arrows you want to make.
I mean, obviously, it won't be fireballs and stuff, but like if it's like at some point maybe, but like I don't know, something where you could come up with a little.
Spawns poison frogs.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe some fun things you could figure out. Like, well, I want
You
to
shoot frogs at people,
like-
like that little kid.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I could
Well, we'll talk
after-
because
after.
typically, like I said, the making of magic items requires somebody who knows how to physically make the item. That's usually a very workman-like thing, right? So, like you might be able to make arrows. Like it's not hard to make arrows.
Yeah.
You might be able to make arrows, but you're not a spellcaster.
Right.
Well, you are a
I do
ranger.
have spells.
Rangers do have spells. So it depends. Yeah, you might be able to make you might be able to pick a spell and spend some money and find somebody with experience in making magic stuff and cast the spell as you like. There's there are rules and strongholds and followers for making magic items. All you need is the right follower.
Okay.
And the chain, I think we can assume that the chain's rank and file soldiers contain people of a broad variety of different skills.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can figure it out. We just got to look at your spell list and figure like what kind of arrow do you want to make?
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be cool to have an arrow of
Yeah.
this one cool spell. We're like, okay, well, let's see what we can do.
Okay.
Cool, baby.
Anyway,
so for that week,
yeah,
I'll work 8 hours in the smithy.
yeah, okay.
I'll spend 8 hours studying my book.
I think you
And
have to
8 hours
study the book
sleeping.
for a month.
I'm telling you, I just read
Oh,
it.
did you read it? Okay, what did it say?
It was 48 hours over 6 days.
Oh, it's 40. Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
So like 8 hours a
You're
day
using me
over
in
6
crunch
days.
mode.
Yeah,
Because there's a
Slims and
book.
crunch
There's a couple of books in Strongholds and Followers that have that same rule.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, okay. Turns out I do not know how that works.
No,
48 hours over 6 days, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you write it
that's
differently in our
If you spend 48
I might
hours
have.
over
I think I
36
might have
days.
because it is supposed to be. It's not like that's how there's a couple of different like the manual of gainful exercise, right? Is the same thing where you do this and after a certain amount of time your
I
strength
think
goes
they're
up.
all the same.
Yeah, your strength goes up, or there's different tomes of study this tome, and I think the ones in Strongholds and Followers have different abilities, different results. So they do have very slightly different language. But yeah,
Okay, well, I mean, if you're telling me that this,
that's fine. Yeah,
this is wrong.
no, that's right. Yeah,
You see, there's a Coliseum in the city.
yeah. And nobody uses it; it's ruined.
Isn't
Or it's I would say
We
it's
should
not
make
ruined.
that our strong.
It's not
Isn't
ruined.
that
It's in
other mercenary
disrepair.
company currently occupying it?
No,
It's
No,
not.
that was the Citadel, and they're not the ones occupying
think
it.
it's-
It is the church. The church has taken that from the Fulcrum.
the Coliseum.
no. The Coliseum is the Coliseum is in the middle of the city. The Coliseum is a circle
I see.
in the middle of the city.
And it's just empty.
It is. Yeah,
Number
that's
one.
yeah. That's
Number one. What color is that?
I don't know. I printed it in black and white.
yeah. No, it's
like
it's not a district. It's a landmark.
Because I think that should absolutely be our stronghold if we have one. Because I feel like you'd be a great gladiator. And also,
Well, there's
if you-
no. It's not. Nobody uses it.
Nobody goes
exactly.
there.
Okay.
We could just it's like an establishment.
Sure.
He's a gladiator of no one. He stands out in the middle. And,
He's a gladiator of no
Just-
one.
it just
stands with the sword. It covers it in pig's blood or something. And
Which
walks
is like,
around.
He walks out alone and then he declares victory.
we
we're
could
just
reopen
squatters.
it.
Yeah.
We could reopen it.
So I was actually thinking about that earlier. I was like, I think there's a Coliseum, and in fact, like
Slim
all
would
the
be good at
nobles
running
would go there,
running
like the
that.
guild. would
Winning
go
the gladiators.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Have a
probably would.
gladiator
Yeah,
school,
absolutely.
train them.
Yeah.
The good ones we'd fucking put in
Get
the
paid
chain.
money.
The bad ones
We
we'd
could
watch
work with the
them die.
military academy for people who want to.
That's right. You guys have to decide whether or not. First of all, you have a couple tickets to the opera. So you have to decide whether or not
I'm
you're going
going
to
to
use.
go and do the talk at the
And you
guys'
have the talk
academy.
that you have to decide whether or not you're going to do it. And
Oh, yeah.
and
Tell them how to kill.
according to Mud, she has already relayed to you the process. House Verona just helped you guys out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, House
doing
Verona's the
that.
want us to go do the talk. So
Because they are the ones that made sure that the advancers who were not headed to the Pellet got to the Pellet.
They're courting us
Oh,
awful
right.
heavily.
Of course. Yeah, the Navy. Got them through.
So it's up to you guys whether or not you
Bit
like.
clingy.
If
They
you're
like
gonna,
my ship.
it's a great opportunity for them to kind of influence events without actually getting in a fight.
Right, yeah.
Because they didn't do anything. They just made
Come
sure
through
that,
quickly
well,
and
they
go to the pellet.
inadvertently kind of saved our lives. So
That's true. Yeah, they hadn't got there.
Yeah.
We were up shit creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
That's the second big solid that they've done us, just for kind of,
Just because they like us.
Well, no, they
Well,
wanted,
there's
they wanted to
a
look like
reason.
they wanted to look like we're working for them without actually employing us.
Right.
And thus far, they've gotten away with it.
Yeah, because they did.
But this time, they actually helped us out a lot. So.
That was he was the one that gave us the operative.
I mean, all they did was
So they let us
deliver
do the first
the
one.
advancers to the palace.
Three
That's all.
things.
They just told us which way to go. Told them
Right,
which
but
way
I
to
knew
go.
exactly where we are in this massive fucking city. Like, why don't you guys go to here?
Is
Well, also
Angel-
remember that House Verona and House Alvaro are ostensibly allies because they're both nobles. And
Is-
the way everything's been
They won't-
characterized
they
to you
won't
guys is that it's the nobles versus the guilds.
You can be allies and still competitors, though.
Only one person can be prince.
Is Angel on Somnium Tenebris?
No, and the angel is at what do you call
What
it?
do you say? These two.
Stool.
At the stool, the prince's footstool.
Verona and
Okay, because I want to know how he knew help was coming.
they're friends.
Mm-hmm. They're supposed to be allies.
He'll tell you. He says, "I went and talked to that Patrick
Well, so
Stewart."
that's
looking
why the
motherfucker."
dragon guy was like, "Oh, they let you in."
All right, well, so it was Angel.
Because they're supposed to be allies.
That
Yeah.
makes more sense.
That does make sense now.
He was talking about Patrick Stewart from Dune and not.
Not yeah.
Okay.
He goes, not Patrick.
Just wanted to make
not
sure.
Patrick Stewart,
They're the
like
dragon
the
guys.
old guy now, but like back when he was young and played Green.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
their.
He's like, I've never seen
40
that
years
movie.
ago when he looked
because
exactly the same.
yeah,
as he
that's
does
true. He
now.
hasn't. Yeah.
I still remember him in
Nosebleed.
Yeah. Excalibur.
Excalibur.
I knew you were going to say Excalibur. I knew you were going to say Excalibur. This is what now it's crosstalk and you can't understand any of us because we're all talking over each other. But this is the regular everyday post game conversation we normally have. So I think we're probably going to end the stream. Like I've got a list of all the crap you guys are going to come up with. Next week, the beginning of the next adventure will start, and you guys will meet some important people, and probably crazy shit will happen, and probably going to roll some dice next week, and maybe some neat stuff will happen.
Kill some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have gotten a fight. You could have gotten a big fuck off fight
Could have
tonight.
gone to war. Probably.
Yeah, that would have been.
I think it was close, right? Slim was giving old
Yeah.
dickhead or whatever his name was a bit of grief.
I want
Dickaroni.
to fucking hit that guy
Dickaroni.
so bad. I wanted to say
Well,
something
you know.
so bad. Oh.
With his long curly
One of these
hair.
days,
That's what.
our blades will swim in his entrails,
Whoa.
but not today.
We'll get Dickaroni.
I look forward to it.
Thanks for watching, everybody. A short session, but
Short was
I think important and momentous. And next week, I think we're going to go back to somewhat more standard, regular D&D, but we're still in downtime. So we're going to slowly climb out of the downtime into some kind of actual adventure. The Chain of Acheron just witnessed the transfer of the columns, one of the districts on the Pellet, from neutral hands, the prince's hands, into the control of 12 dragons.
Jackhole.
And in the process, they saved the commander of the Red Falcons. She rewarded their risking their lives on her behalf by granting them knighthoods. So they're now free to go anywhere in the city they want. And we'll do a campaign diary, which we'll upload next Wednesday. And you can find out how much of this I had any idea was going to happen and how much was me going, oh, word? Okay, well, in that case, here's what's going to happen. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next week. Be seeing you.
Doodle pip.
Here we go.
End show!